Zoom to YouTube, preparing to live stream the meeting.
Zoom, baby. Zoom, baby. I like to fly away.
Yeah, that's the best, bro.
That song is cold, man.
The producers weren't well sung out. Yeah.
That was Lionel Richie, man.
Genius, bro.
Them brothers was pumping it out back then.
Yeah, that was good right here. YouTube started 1 minute ago. Okay.
Oh, it started 1 minute ago?
Yes, sir. That's what it says.
Okay. All right, so let me ask the question first. Is Ibad Carruthers out there yet?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna save his question for when he gets there. The sister that asked the question concerning birthdays and so on, is she there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sister. Thank you. So so we're gonna go to that after me and Troy chew the cud a little bit. Hey, Troy, what's going on, Aunt?
So, how you feel about the senile mummy who would be king?
Hey, brother, this dude, the only thing he's lacking is like his face sliding off. Basically, he's literally the Walking Dead. He's literally the Walking Dead. I was listening to some Trump speeches. Trump be clowning him, man. I was like,
yeah.
Trump got jokes, man. He got a personality. You guys gonna trip off it, but I like listening to him speak.
Me too.
Yeah.
Where are you, Sleepy Joe? Where are you?
Brother, I mean, that's how you do it,
He's in his basement. Crooked Hillary, crooked as she could be.
Hey, listen,
Florida.
the Most High is getting ready to turn this thing up. It's funny because when we go to, let's do this real quick before we jump into the other topic, before we get into the birthday zone.
Yeah.
Go to 2nd Ezra chapter 15. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And we'll start reading real quick at, I'll tell you the verse when I get there. What chapter is that? Chapter 14. Chapter 15. And I want to start off at verse 14. Read verse 14, Dawiyat.
2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up to fight against another, and the swords in their hands.
Yeah, man. So we've been reading that and preparing for that. When I say preparing, meaning intellectually / spiritually. Intellectually meaning the knowledge that we're acquiring, but spiritually meaning the implications of it. It's the result of prophecy. But I'm not going to lie. The circumstance or the paradigm amongst through which it's emerging is the least thing that I expected. You know, I didn't expect that. But behind how can we put this? The unrest that is being perpetrated behind a contrived incident, in other words, the COVID. I say contrived, because like I said, if you're dealing with the history of pandemics and really don't have to be reported on. They report on them, but a pandemic truly, there's no need to report on it because the conditions you go back into the old times of 19, 20, 18, 20, 17, 20, every pandemic touched every household. If there was a household of 10, 4 to 6 was gone. It touched in every neighborhood, everybody lost somebody. You know what I mean? So this thing that we're seeing now, where you have hordes of people claiming to be protesting peacefully on behalf of Black people, that result in the burning down and looting of most of where the Black people live and depend on, you can see you know, this wasn't what out of, you know what I mean? Just it's for me, it's something, it's crystal clear that the Most High, is why Christ said to be vigilant, meaning to watch. Because we think we have we think we can properly conceive or perceive how or even imagine how it's going to unfold. Like even now, everybody's antennas are heightened for what's going to happen, what could happen, what's being threatened behind the election. Like I've been listening to Kamala Harris. I don't know who this lady is, but there's a bald-headed black woman that I saw, because on certain talk shows, they give excerpts of these people's Zoom meetings. And so they've been interviewing a lot of these Democratic officials, right? Various politicians at various levels, municipal, federal. And they're talking about, yeah, and we're supporting, like Kamala, for instance, we support the protesters and we expect for them to continue. And they say they're going to continue. They should take to the street. Nancy Pelosi, you know, they should take to the street now. And it's going to continue after the elections. They plan on doing it like now this is word, right? This is the word in what's out in circulation. If they plan on, if they lose, they being the Democrats. If Joe Biden's party loses, they're already said, I watched a couple of excerpts from Zoom meetings with Hillary Clinton speaking to some, her and Bill speaking to some black lady, saying that they're not going to accept the under any circumstances the results of the president of the election if Trump should win. Then I've been reading up and seeing how they're in Texas, Pennsylvania, Michigan, all of these places, Democratic strongholds, they've been caught red-handed election, what they call it, ballot tampering with the ballots.
Exactly.
Election fraud.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Election fraud, man. So then I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching all of these these rallies. Trump got the whole world present at his rallies, and Biden, I saw two of them when nobody was there. Literally, nobody. Then there was about 12 people there. There was one event where they invited John Bon Jovi to come out and perform. And when they got there, they saw nobody was there and they were embarrassed for being there and they left. So there's no way in the world you can convince me that it looks that this thing is close, that Biden stands even a chance, you know?
Yeah.
And so I say all of that to say, whichever way it goes, if the Trump party wins, then of course the Biden party has vowed to, you know, to go as far, not just burn down cities, but to go as far as to take the Democratic states and secede.
Oh my God.
Literally, man. Mm-hmm. So when we read this here, where the scripture said, and one people shall stand up to fight against another and swords in their hands, brother, I don't know if you guys have been hearing about this laptop, two laptops and 2 hard drives that is loaded with documents and videos, pictures of Jim, what's the guy's name? Hunter Biden, brother, mutilating, beating, torturing little under 14-year-old girls.
Wow.
Yeah, man, and the media won't even, brother, they're shut down on that. Tucker Carlson, who's like one of the pundits or one of the people, I don't know what you would call what his title is, but I listen to him when I have an opportunity.
Conservative.
He be bringing it, huh?
Conservative.
Okay, he be bringing it, man. But it turns out that they've been sending these hard drives to all mainstream media outlets and all of the top-known alternative media outlets, and everybody's afraid to show it and to push it out because, first of all, it's child porn. Mm-hmm. So it would be a setup. If they did it, then what happened? Then they could be arrested or, you know, prosecuted for doing illegal activity, right? But a journalist is supposed to be exempt from that. They're supposed to be what? The fourth estate. That's what they were referred to. The other 3 estates are the 3 branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, right? So what kept all three of those branches honest was the fourth estate, which was what? The press. And now they're not doing it. Brother, there's a guy that come up, Bubalinsky or something, Babalinsky.
Yeah.
He was a business partner with Hunter Biden,
Yeah.
with the Chinese, setting up shell companies. In other words, brother, Troy, keep your eyes peeled, man, because all of this could still be the distraction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the point. All of this could still be the distraction because now everybody's waiting and tense about the election turnout. People are being threatened, not allowed to go and vote. Are not allowed to do the observing, like you can volunteer and go and watch polling places. The last foster home I grew up in, there every 4 years that home was a polling place for the neighborhood that we were in, and so we were little kids that got brought up watching polls, learning how to watch the polls and stuff. So that's not something that you're supposed to be prohibited from doing. So all of these activities, man, it's drawing everybody's attention and creating a lot of tension about the post-election turnout. But just right now, as I'm talking about it, all of that, for all that attention being generated, that could still be the distraction. Huh? Think about that, So this is, whatever it is, it's going to come to this. Listen to this, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Let's talk about today, the modern day sword is just all forms of firearms, right? Continue, Dawiyad, read that next verse, 16.
It says, for there shall be sedition among men.
Now, hold on. So sedition refers to there's an established authority, and there are parties that are revolting against the established authority. That's if somebody you guys look on your phone and look up sedition, and you'll see. The reason why it's important to understand sedition, because then it helps you to know who's playing what role. So sedition being to resist or to come against. I want you to read it. The established authority, failing to recognize or obey the established authority. That's a sedition. So that means, who is the established authority right now? The law of the land. This is not talking about parties. This is not talking about Democrat and Republican. This is talking about all forms of government, all forms of recognized government. You understand? This is not Trump versus Biden. This is about order, where the order comes from, and then who revolts against it. So right now, you do have the government doing what? Imposing. Somebody write it out. That's Nagaha. Somebody read that. Or do you have that, Troy? Nagaha, read it, please. Oh, you got it, Nagaha? Oh, who is that?
Oh, okay, come on. One sec, let me close the door.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, first Troy.
Oh, you got to.
First Troy's gonna read his, and then you read what you got, Nagaha.
Cool.
Go ahead.
From Webster, 1828. A factious commotion of the people, a tumultuous assembly of men rising in opposition to law or the administration of justice and in disturbance of the public peace.
So there you go. Now, so the point is, see, to know the definition helps us to know who's playing what role. So the established government, whether you accept them or not, or whether you agree with it or not, is all forms of federal, municipal, state government. But look at what they're involved in. They're involved in pushing people into conditions that are resulting in the destruction of their livelihood. So you can see right now the platform upon which people will become seditious, because there's this guy, he's average guy from Central California, Northern California. His name is Carlos Zapata, and his parents are refugees from Chile. I shouldn't say refugees. immigrants from Chile, right? During, I believe, the Pinochet era, the dictator that was established and set up there by the government. And so dude's just a middle class cat, maybe upper middle class. It's from a circle of people that have businesses. He's been out for a few months now, maybe since July, speaking and getting actually interviewed on some of these more popular alternative news sites. And he's like, man, these people, we're not going to take this much longer. You know, he was in California, he was at a city council meeting. That's when I first saw him. I said, man, this dude is bad. He was like, well, he's a veteran. He says, I know the ugly side of humanity. I've fought in war. And he's like, if you think we're going to continue to take this, he said, you'd be lucky right now. I'm the one that's coming and we're telling you what to speak, but we're not going to be sitting down for long. And he's not backing down. And his brother, he was saying that he had to apologize for giving a false statement. He said, because right now, there's 1 million people that I know ready to take arms and put this thing back in order. He came on another show and said, I apologize, that was misleading, because it's more like 20 million. And he's not lying. So this is a tense circumstance, and Esau is not going to sit back and let everything that he needs and knows that his comfort be destroyed and him be driven into a third world circumstance. So you see that. But then you have another faction that is upset because Trump is doing things to risk. Listen, why do you think this nigga Lil Wayne, I just saw this today, this little monster, this little gremlin, Lil Wayne, who else? It was the other rapper.
Lil Wayne, Ice Cube, and
who else did you, besides from Ice Cube? I'm talking about the one that got all that meat between his eyes.
50 Cent.
50 Cent, yeah. Nigga look like he can make a bologna sandwich with his face. But you all of these cats are supporting Trump because
I'm sorry, that was funny, man. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. And so what happens is, and aside from them, they're like more bandwidth. See, all of a sudden, to them and others, Kanye West don't seem so crazy years ago having made visits because they've been listening to the dude's economic plan. The mainstream media have 100% ignored the things that Trump has done for the American economy. So if you're into America, if that's your thing, if you're into make America great again, if you're into the economy, if you're into reindustrializing America, because the last presidents before this dude, maybe 5 or 6 of them, all contributed to the deindustrialization of America, sending all of those, in other words, creating so many, what do they call those? The measures that are taken that result in companies being, I can't think of the word. We losing my English, y'all.
Divesting?
Say that again.
Divesting?
No. It's a governmental thing. Regulations. They have so many regulations, rules, in other words, that you have to abide by that result in you being able to go to China and have more profit. That's all strategically done. So Trump has been reversing all of that and incentivizing bringing back industry to America. Point is, these are the things that the people that are moving, that want to move towards socialism, that want to actually put damn China behind the helm of this ship that is America, they're going to be revolting against Trump. See, in other words, you got societies divided.
Right.
You got society, you have people that are pro-Trump, you have people that are, and they are backed by China. You got people that are, you got people that are pro-Biden who's backed by China. You got people that are pro-Trump who are backed, for the most part, grassroots America, man. Literally, grassroots Esau America. Because, and so you can see either way, the seeds of sedition are already what? Are already planted. Because this is the first time in the history of my life that I saw a president not get any time or space or breathing room to run the country. It was back-to-back false scandal against this dude.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to, so what make you think they're going to ease up if he win again? They're going to take it to the next level of intensity. So that's why the scriptures tell you, for there shall be sedition among men. Now that's just, listen, the reason why I put so much time in that, because that's domestic. Those are the domestic issues. Read that verse from the top again, verse 16.
Verse 16. There shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard.
Stop. And invading one another. So when you deal with invasion, that's something or some threat coming from the outside into another, imposing itself on foreign soil. That's what an invasion is. So you got a whole lot of people, the Democratic side, and a lot of Republicans that are angry that that Trump managed to pull off 3.5, going on more now, years without starting or intensifying another war. These are things they're going to talk about. Barack intensified and started new wars. Bush started new wars. You understand? Clinton started new wars and intensified other ones that were already ongoing. The Bush before the Clinton, Daddy Bush. Think about that. Right. Reagan did the same thing. You understand? So this cat all of a sudden, so who's being affected? The military industrial complex. The people who make money for every bullet that's fired, for every tank that shoots off a round, for every plane that's shot down. You understand? People up there, and our people are like stupid just listening to the mainstream media, wanting to be ignorant. I don't say this in favor of Trump. It said we're supposed to be conscientious observers. We don't have a dog in the fight. We're not Republicans. We're not Democrats. We're the slaves waiting for salvation. That's who we are. Got to remind Israel that. Okay, the ignorant ones, you can see that. The ones who have rejected this information, the ones who have not yet come to the information. Okay, but we're supposed to sit back and just be looking at it for the sake of being able to measure the scriptures like we're doing now, and then to gain experience on how the Most High is just going to pull this place apart. So invasion, let's talk invasion. The scriptures tell you there's going to be an invasion. Jeremiah chapter 50, Jeremiah chapter 51. Both talk about invasion. And so you have elements of the Chinese that's been in where the hell is Amiyatzai? You gotta start getting here on time. I say that so that you can go pull up these articles that show you that the earliest time I can remember was during the during the 90s, was it the late 90s? No, it was maybe the mid 2000s, 2005, 2004, where China was able in the central part of America to acquire a territory of 50 square miles, and it was considered, it still exists, considered an inland port. How the hell you have a port? It's like New York, the whole East Coast, and all those places where ships come in, and then the West Coast. Those are ports, deep sea ports. Well, they declared this one an inland port, and the things coming up from Mexico to this area were not subject, or how can we put it, exempt from customs scrutiny. Okay. So they've been finding all type of containers. You know what the long ass containers are? They've been finding containers full of Chinese people, full of firearms. So what it looks like to me is that the invasion had been underway, at least the logistical aspect, pre-positioning all of what your needs, all of the things that you need to pull off an overthrow, quote, or an invasion, so that you don't have to worry about it. Once you go live, once the invasion goes real time, you don't have to worry about issues of supply line issues. So when you read this, these are things that we're supposed to have what? heard of or come across and made it a point to make special note of in various news sites. Because brothers brothers in Israel be talking about, don't be listening to them conspiracy theories. The whole Bible tell you about conspiracy. The first conspirators that's mentioned in the Bible are the 12 patriarchs, or 11 of them, or actually what, 10 of them. Benjamin wasn't involved. But the scriptures tell you that the 10 brothers, Joseph's older brothers, it says, and they conspired. How you gonna tell me the Bible don't be listening to conspiracy theories? Like shit just happens. That old bumper sticker, shit happens. That ain't how life is. Things are completely planned out. They don't always go according to plan, but the conspiracies are always in place. You can't tell me Joe Biden running for president in his present state is not indicative of a clear conspiracy. Because he's not fit. He ain't fit to hold a conversation.
Nope.
So that means what? That means there's something behind the Democratic Party electing him. Bernie Sanders, that crypt keeper would have did better than this dude.
Yep.
So when it says invasions, invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. It's going back to what? Going back to the seditious people. The kings or princes are the supreme authorities and then their subordinates. Like in a monarchy, the king would be what? The supreme ruler. And then the princes are his subordinates, whether they're his sons, his nephews, whatever. You know, you have the crown prince. The crown prince is the person who's literally next in line to be the king. So this is indicative, America not being necessarily a monarchy. Its political structure is still illusionary, but it's not a monarchy. The princes would be the equivalent of the lesser, the subordinate government bodies, as opposed to the superior government bodies. And so he said, the people are not going to listen to them, and you're going to see. And let me say, and you already see it. You already see all the fighting and the killing, people shooting cops, people shooting, people not going to jail. The ones that the people, if all you got to scream is Antifa, that's the new game. BLM, nigga, Black Lives Matter, nigga. You know, you shoot nigga in the head and you get out. Because why? Because they're the ones who the factions of sedition are using to get this thing going. So they shall not regard their kings nor princes. And read the last one.
And the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
That goes to show you that whoever is elected, whoever becomes the authority, the legitimate or even the illegitimate authority, whoever becomes the government, it tells you that the people, the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That means the governments are not going to be able to control the masses. That's what that means. The course of actions of the people in sedition are going to stand in their power. Listen, have anybody seen today? Excuse me. Has anybody seen clips, aerial clips of people getting the hell out of Paris, France?
430-mile traffic jam.
30-mile traffic jam, because why? Because they're trying to all get out of Paris before they go back into lockdown. And it's like that everywhere in Europe.
I was getting like that in California.
Oh, hell yes. Listen, it's coming here. It's already here. So why do I say that? So that we can read verse 17.
I can't understand, sir.
Read verse 17.
17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Now, hold on. That's called what? Quarantine. A man shall desire to go. That happened with us. The state that we're in the state called Zacatepec. Our region was the most red hot one in the whole country, man. We just finally got slipped into orange or yellow maybe. And now they already putting us back going up into the red zone again. So we literally couldn't get out of any, in other words, we were confined, and they had roadblocks set up. When you're driving through our town, you had to show not your driver's license, you had to show your DPI. Your DPI out here is the national, the government ID, identification document, right? And so on the back of it, it tells you what state you're from. It'll say Ciudad Guatemala, it'll say Zacatepec, it'll say Sololá, all the different places. And so if the police pull you over, if the authorities pull you over, they had all of us, every Saturday we go to the market, or Thursday we'd have to go to the market, and we'd have to stop the roadblock coming out of our little aldea, our little town, our colonia, and they pull us over. I show them DPI, Zacatepec, so okay, you're supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. They take you to custody, brother, and then you get fined, you get imprisoned, because what are you doing unless you have papers showing that you have reason to be out of that state. That started with us, and that measure was taken back in about June, March, April, May. It was taken in about May. So this is going on all over the place. Quarantine. I think it was like that in New York, where if you ended up in New York, you had to go through 14-day quarantine first. That's how it is out. You coming in the airplane and flights, man. I wouldn't come down. People talking about visiting. Everybody needs to sit still now. You need to be where you are most apt to maneuver, where you have are immersed among like-thinking people, talking about brothers and sisters in the truth, man. Brothers don't get caught slipping out there vacationing. Read that. I'll read one more. You're going to read all the way down to 19. And we'll go that far, and then we're going to jump into our topic.
Yeah. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled.
So when it says because of their pride, it's not talking about the city, it's talking about the pride of the nation. This is where the Most High got an issue with America. Make America great again is proud. We're number one. All of the things that all of the sayings and quotes that are recognized about America globally. The Most High said it's because of their pride that their cities are going to be troubled. This is the Most High humbling this place. I listen to, and I still listen to them. A lot of these talk show hosts, they'll say, yeah, they'll be talking about America. And then we had a dark side of history, and dark side of history, they'll be talking about their history is black, dark side. Because they're coming from, they're speaking from the premise that all of that is behind us now. But the Most High is not looking at only the everyday man. The Most High is looking at the same thing he examined when we got brought down, when we were judged and found wanting concerning judgment, concerning justice. You understand? Concerning humanity. What people like to call this thing humanity. What is humanity? The scriptures tell you what humanity is. It don't use that word. It says who's speaking up for the poor, who's defending the widow, who's defending the fatherless. That's what the Most High be looking at. He don't be looking at your damn economy. He don't be looking at, all the little affirmative action, reverse racism, whatever, all the things that the complaints that people have. He don't look at that. He look at is his laws being implemented in the land. That's what he look at. So I ain't giving a damn about your democracy. He don't care about no communism. He don't care about no what do you call that? Socialism and fascism are my laws. And so nobody's doing that. So what are you talking about? And the Most High said, no, America's not going to be great again. No one is going to be great again. That's what they don't get. While at the same time misquoting and misunderstanding the Bible. So that's what the Most High is referring to, their great pride. And then they'll be so quick to say, well, go back to Africa. Well, you have to take us back, first and foremost. That's like niggas swam here.
Right.
And that's pride, huh? Because they'll say, oh yeah, I listened to one guy speak about the number of white slaves that were held by the Arabs, that were oppressed by the Arabs, and Islam far exceeds the number of those that came to America. And that's a damn lie, because the Red Sea, the Sahara slave trade, the Indian Ocean slave trade, what are you talking about? Our people went there too, and the whole world. But they'll say that. How many times have you heard, oh, well, the Irish were slaves? What that? And then why do they have strong communities? In other words, see, there was no concerted effort. There was no global and concerted effort to make sure that other peoples who were oppressed, their history was erased. The knowledge of themselves, that was eradicated from among them. That all of their doings would be, quote, I would have to say, blackwashed. In other words, nobody hid their works. They didn't claim works that they didn't even do. So these are the things when the Most High said, for their pride, their cities shall what? Be troubled. Go ahead.
The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Watch when the Most High bring the nations up in there. Watch when the Most High bring, like he says, Gog and Magog and Libya and Ethiopia and all these other places, the Chinese. The scriptures say that in Amos chapter 5, the day of the Lord shall be as though a man did flee from a lion and a bear man. The lion is the Arabs. They're known as the lions of the desert. Documented. World War II books call them the lions of the desert. The movie about the Arab guy, the guy from Tripoli or Libya back when it was called Tripolitania, fighting against the invasion of the Italians. I think we showed that book. I pulled an image up that had Anthony Quinn and that other guy. You understand? The lion of the desert. So the Most High said it'll be as though a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him. And the bear are the Russians. And then he went into the house. And this is curious about. He went into the house. So do me a favor real quick. Go to Amos chapter 5. And I think it's verse 18. This hit me like a couple of days ago. I was meditating about it. Man, this thing is, the Most High is cold. Because we don't even realize how much he uses the imagery to tell you who the nation is that he's talking about. Like the whole book of Revelations, the images are taken from Greco-Roman mythology. People don't even know that. What is the beast, the dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns? That's the Greco-Roman mythological chimera creature called the Hydra, where you cut one head off, another one grows. That's Revelation 13. And I saw his head as it was wounded unto death, and it was healed. He's using their own myth. When he said, I saw the woman sitting on a beast, that's the myth of Europa, the girl Europa that Zeus supposedly came down in the form of a beast, a bull, saw her on the beach. Now, what woman goes up to a bull and starts stroking him on his back like as if he was a horse? I don't know, but Europe did it. Europa did it, and he grabbed her and took her off into the ocean. That's where you get the woman sitting on what? On a beast on many seas. The Most High uses imagery from the corresponding, or we'll say the nation's corresponding mythology, so that you can know through imagery who he's talking about. This is a cold deal. So here we are about to read some more of this imagery. Read who's got that? Amos chapter 5 and verse 18.
I got it. Amos 5 and 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord.
Yeah.
To what end is it for you?
Yeah, listen, all the people, all these Christians all over the world will not acknowledge the truth of the Bible. They would prefer to stick with their doctrine and their tradition and their dogma. And that's why the Lord said, woe to you. What is it to you? That's why when you read, John 5 and 39, search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life. And they are they that testify of me. The scriptures are the source that testify of Christ, and it gives us the information of what salvation is about. So, what day is the day of the Lord for you? Was the Most High asking people for whom the day he's going to describe what it really is for most of the world. Go ahead, Dawiyad.
To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light.
Yep. It ain't going to be, oh, happy day. It's the day of doom. Go ahead.
As if a man did flee from a lion.
So now here we go with the imagery. As if a man did flee from a lion. And how long has the American public been crying for the presidents, one after the other, to pull their troops out of Iraq, to pull their troops out of Afghanistan, to pull their troops out of all the places that they're deployed out of Kuwait, the Arab world, to not send them into Libya, to not send them into to Syria. Those are the lines. And the population want to get out of that. As though a man did flee from a lion. Go ahead.
And a bear met him.
And the bear are the Russians. So if it wasn't for the Russians, let me say this, the Russians are what kept Barack, whatever this thing's name is, Barack Hussein Allahu Akbar Obama is what I always call him. This is Arab. His middle name is Allahu Akbar. But it was the Russians that kept him from going too deep into Syria. And Syria is a biblical linchpin. When you read the book of Joel, and the Lord tells you, for the day of the Lord is, because what do we just read in verse 18? The day of the Lord, right, Dawiyad?
The day of the Lord.
Right, that's what we're talking. That's the topic, right? The day of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Joel, the Most High tells you a little bit about the day of the Lord also. And he tells you that the day of the Lord is near in the valley of Jehoshaphat. And the valley of Jehoshaphat is not a place. Jehoshaphat was a king who visited, he was a king of Judah, descendant of David and Solomon, who visited the king of Israel up north, Ahab. And Ahab wanted to go to war against the Syrians to try to reacquire Ramoth Gilead, the region today that's like the Golden Heights. Syria is still in conflict with the fake Israelis over there. Point is, so what happened? The Most High sent to Ahab 400 prophets that lied to him. So when the Lord says the day, to get him to go to war and fall, that's what Jehoshaphat. Why? Because Jehoshaphat was the one that says, yeah, man, when the king Ahab said, man, you know, would you go up to war with me against the Syrians at Ramoth Gilead? He said, yeah, man, I'm your brother. My flesh is as your flesh. But I tell you what, let us inquire of the Lord first. That was Jehoshaphat that wanted to know whether or not he wanted to hear from the word of the Lord by the mouth of the prophets to determine. This is 2 Chronicles, the entire chapter. 2 Chronicles chapter 18. Y'all can read it on your own. We're going into when the Lord says the day of the Lord, and stay where you are, Dawiyah, but when you read Joel chapter 3, and you start off at verse 9, where it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare ye for war, then you read on down, and it tells you the day of the Lord is near in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Like I said, Jehoshaphat was a king who urged the king of Israel to what? To seek the word of the Lord, to whether or not go to war against the Syrians. That's what it's about. So the Lord is telling us in Joel that when that circumstance resurfaces in these modern times, you'll know the day of the Lord is near. Then he goes on to say, that's verse 12, multitudes in the valley of Jehoshaphat. But when you read verse 14, it says, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision, because that's what it's about. It's about a decision being made whether or not to do what? Whether or not to go into war into Syria. So if you understand the geopolitical aspect of Trump's involvement, he's the cat that's been keeping the American involvement in Syria to a minimum. They wanted him to go in and attack Syria. They tried to pull him in. So now, back to this one. It says, as though a man did run from a lion, flee from a lion, and the bear met him. So who kept them from going in under Obama? It was the Russians. That bear. Go ahead.
Or went into the house.
Listen to this, Doc. This is what hit me the other day. Where did he go, and what happened when he got there? Read it again.
Or went into the house.
Into the house. Go ahead.
And leaned his hand on the wall.
Like you go to support to sustain yourself. Go ahead.
And a serpent bit him.
Where is the serpent? First of all, who is the serpent? Everybody knows the serpent is China. You go to any Chinatown in any place in America, and if you happen to know the Chinese New Year, they got everybody, 6 niggas, 20 niggas lying, all of them under that one body of that serpent, running around town, doing all that. Y'all haven't seen the movies, right?
Right.
And the wall of China, too.
No, hold on. No, yeah, exactly. Look like a snake, right? But listen to what it said. It said the man went into a house. The house is his own. China is already there.
Wow. Okay.
Because he leaned his hand on the wall, and the serpent bit him there in the house, leaning on the wall. That occurred to me just like 2 days ago. I was like, damn. Because when you put that prophecy with the information that's coming out about the Chinese assets in America already, and how the politicians, it turns out that there's so many politicians that's on China's payroll. Y'all go look up Biden's talking about he wants to work with China. He said he want to put China in control of America. You can see those speeches, him saying that. You understand? I went here only because the scriptures talked about invasion and pride. Is that the last, what verse is that? Is that the end of verse 20 or what?
No, it says the wall, and a serpent bit him.
And a serpent bit him. Go ahead.
That was it for that verse.
Continue.
Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light?
So he's telling, he's what? Reiterating that the day of the Lord is not, meaning because of those circumstances, because of the combination of fleeing from the lion, running into the bear, going into the house, laying on the wall, and being bitten by a serpent in your own home, on your wall. That's how the Most High communicate to us through parables. That's Psalm 78. Hear my people, my law. I will open my mouth in dark sayings. I will speak in parables. He's telling us that. And that's why he uses all of this imagery, so that we can know who he's talking about. What other countries known as the bear? Ain't no other country since the Persians in the old day, biblically.
Russia.
Huh?
Russia.
Exactly. And that's so funny because Russia's top ally, now I shouldn't say ally, but what Russia has a lot of its top investments is in Iran, particularly in their nuclear program, their nuclear energy program. So,
what you were saying earlier about the Chinese gaining footholds in those parts of the oceans, and they basically went uncontested. Now, during the time frame that you were talking, we were stationed over in those areas, and we were around the ship. We were asking, like, why the hell are we not given the orders to go and knock this mess out while it's small and we still can?
Yeah.
But Obama, he absolutely refused to give those orders. We were on standby, ready to go because we recognized the threat, but we couldn't figure out whose side was this guy on because we're right there. We can knock this shit out. And it was just making us crazy. Like, what's going on here?
Well, that's because Obama's following orders between smoking crack and giving oral sex to men. He's following orders, brother. Be shocked. That's what that's about.
Getting us killed.
Huh?
Getting us killed unnecessarily, yeah.
So let's go back to let's finish up in 2nd Ezra chapter 15 And I want to go back to verse 18.
All right. Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 18. For beware of their pride, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Go ahead.
A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword.
Stop right there. So you can see, I don't know how it is, how it's evolved out there, but the neighborhoods are not the neighborhoods now like we had. We knew everybody in our whole neighborhood, literally. And I'm talking about, I guess my neighborhood was from where I grew up at in Los Angeles. It was from Western Boulevard, not even that, man. We was Normandy, Vermont, all the way down to Crenshaw. That's east and west. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. That's east and west. Vermont being the eastern, because I say this because these are the people that was all in our school district. Vermont Boulevard to Crenshaw Boulevard, the eastern border, the western border, and then from Century Boulevard all the way to Imperial Highway. That was the south, the Imperial Highway and the northern border. We knew everybody in there, literally, all the children, all the parents, everybody. We had block parties at a time. Everybody knew which the foster home was. Everybody knew what the gangbangers' house was. Everybody knew who the trouble kids was, but fighting their way through. Everybody knew everybody's parents. You know, the kids would take sometimes 45 minutes to get home, walking from school. I lived like 2 blocks away from the 2 blocks west and 3 blocks north from my elementary school. And then the high school was the same distance in the opposite direction, and the junior high school was a little farther out. It was beyond, it was just on the other side of Imperial Highway. Point is, and we knew everybody. Then we also knew all the brothers and sisters in the hood that was getting bussed out. Neighbors don't even know each other next door now. Neighbors don't even know each other 1 block over now. Y'all know this, right? Ain't that how it is? So people look and say, they read this and say, a man shall have no pity over his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. That's going to be easy to do. That's going to be easy to do. Because people are what? Esau managed to craft a social dynamic that imprisoned people into their own circumstance, into their own dynamic. So people don't have that, they didn't have that opportunity to grow together. They didn't have, what are you talking about? Like once we got out of, I was one of them, my household, we got bussed. And a few of the people across the street, down the street got bussed with us. So in the morning, my foster mother took everybody to the bus stop and waited in the bus stop till we all got on the bus. We got off the bus in the afternoon. Mrs. Harris across the street picked everybody up. Next day, Mrs. Massey, she goes and takes everybody. This is how it was. Everybody was in it, you know, they were picking up all of our children. We were being all picked up by various parents. I had one friend in elementary school. I was able, okay, you go to Eric Moses' house, you stay there, and you be home by 6 o'clock. Everybody knew it was going to be me, Gino, Eric, his 2 brothers, everybody was going to be at Eric Moses' house. Point is, and all the parents expected that. And his parents, mother and father, wouldn't even be there. His brother Eric would be in charge. Eric was just 1 year older than us. He's a ditz. Point is, that's to what degree we knew each other. We jumped the fence from Eric's house and go up to Keith and Todd Austin's house and hang out there, run up the street and go to Derek the DJ. If he had a neighborhood DJ, he'd do it bad. This is how but because everybody saw us going to the house we all supposed to be at, but then we jumped the fence and go to the homeless and then run up the street and go to the DJ's house. Point was, and then when we got home, yes, such and such and so you jumped the fence like, damn, how do you be one of our grown-ups know everything? But that's how much everybody was connected, man, just in communication. They made themselves responsible for each other's children. Think about that. And that no longer exists today for the most part. So it's going to be easy for a neighbor to go in and ransack somebody's house, kill somebody, rape a girl, rape a woman, rape a boy these days, get their food, get their goods and bounce. Because that's what we're reading. Read on. Read it again. Verse 19 from the top.
A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods.
That means steal their belongings. Go ahead.
Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Because of food shortages and great tribulation. This is so, and so we're looking at the circumstances, let's say the bricks, right? The foundation for all of this explosiveness they're being laid right now. But remember this, Esau puts all of this emphasis on getting everybody's attention. So it's like the magician, man. That's why they be having a lady that's be in the scantily clad on stage. Why is the magician's assistant always a scantily clad woman? Because I can give a damn about what he's doing with the cars. I'm checking her out. That's the reality. Damn him and his rabbit and his hat. Look at that, look at them legs on that woman, right? Boom, and then he can pull off the magic show because you really wasn't paying attention. At least I wasn't. I like, damn, that was a cold trick. The legs was colder though. But it wasn't no trick. It's just I wasn't paying attention. My attention was redirected intentionally so as to give more success, the potential for more success, right, to the illusion. That's what Esau be doing also with his media. So how do we know? Let's say it might blow up because, Biden wins or Trump wins, or it's crystal clear even now that the elections are being rigged and ballots are being tampered with and voter fraud is being executed. So everybody expects that to be the circumstance. But what if that's not? And that's why Christ said, be vigilant. So there we have it for that. If you read verse 20, that means verse 20 takes us abroad. Verse 20 takes us out of the domestic scene. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to answer the question. The sister had a question, and this is a good question too, because I'm going to throw some other things in there. We're switching modes now. We're going to talk about birthdays. Birthdays, because there is an understanding. I'm going to say that there's a position that people take that you're not supposed to, or it's against the law to recognize or celebrate your or anyone else's birthday. Now, I'm going to say this, my opening statement concerning that is going to be, you're not going to find that in the law. Now, brothers use the information out of a book, and I've seen it posted on the internet, right, out of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible, or if it's not the Satanic Bible, it's some portion of one of the pieces of doctrine that is the platform of the platform of their position concerning how they operate and what they worship. And so supposedly the birthdays, well, according to these sources, for the Satanists, the highest form of satanic observance is to honor or recognize one's own birthday. And I said, so damn what? We don't adhere to the Satanic Bible. Even the scriptures say, what does the children of light have to do with the children of darkness? What does the Most High's bride have to do with the whore? But I'm going to go far. So even back in the day, this brother that I came in the truth with named Zion Olive, not the brother that rode with Kazaka, but it's an older brother. He used to use, let's go there. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 20. We're going to read verses 14 through 18. Jeremiah chapter, to sustain this. In other words, the foundation, the basis of his argument that Israel is not allowed to celebrate, recognize, or in any form observe your birthday was based on this. And then I would go and use one that he didn't use, because others, just in case somebody might want to use it. So you got the reading tonight, right, Dawiyad?
I'm here.
So go ahead and do that. Read Jeremiah chapter 20 and verse 14 through 18.
Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 14. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father.
Yeah, cursed the MF that brought the news to my daddy. What he's saying about my birth. Go ahead.
Saying, a man child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities which the Lord overthrew.
Man, let the man who brought that news be as Sodom and Gomorrah. This all the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Continue.
And repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning and the shouting at noontime. Because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, and her womb to be always great with me. Wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, and my days should be consumed with shame.
Now, thank you. Now, why is Job saying that? Because when you read the entire chapter, before the chapter, after the chapter, after the whole book of Jeremiah, into the book of Lamentations, whose author is also Jeremiah. Jeremiah was known as the weeping prophet because the Most High gave him visions of Jerusalem's chastisement, of Jerusalem's punishment. He wasn't saying, damn it, I just wish I wasn't born because it's a birthday. He was saying, cursed be the day that I was born, that I should live to see this befall Jerusalem. Now, let me say this. So let's go earlier in that chapter. Let me show you why Jeremiah, guess what Jeremiah is at? Who knows what Jeremiah is right now? Jeremiah has got his head, his arms, and his feet in the stocks. You guys know what the stocks is? That big old plank of wood where they end up putting your head in, got a space for your head, not for your head, for your neck, and then for your arms. And then some of them have them, and you sitting there also with your ankles. That's the stocks. Jeremiah was in that for preaching the word of the Lord to a king and to a priest. And he was complaining like, damn, it'd be better off that I was dead. Now let's read it from verse 1, Dawiyah, the very same chapter, chapter 20.
Chapter 20, verse 1. Now Pasor, the son of Emer, the priest, who was also chief governor of the house of the Lord, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things.
Yeah, Jeremiah was prophesying what? Chastisement. Being overthrown by the Babylonians. You're going to be there 70 years, excuse me. This is what Jeremiah was prophesying. Go ahead.
Then Pasor smote Jeremiah the prophet.
In other words, Pastor hit him in the jaw. Socked him, as we say. Bap. Go ahead.
And put him in the stocks that were in the high gate of Benjamin, which was by the house of the Lord.
And so back in the day, people with the medieval times at least, people would come by and throw tomatoes, throw onions, throw heads of lettuce at you if you was in the stocks. It was to publicly humiliate you. Are you starting to get the picture now? He's not liking life right about now. Now, it doesn't tell you the degree of the stocks because you have some that are the superior stocks, superior meaning they put your head and your arms in, and then you have those that are superior and inferior, meaning all of your extremities are in the stocks. And it's a very uncomfortable position. So this is where he is. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Pastor brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, the Lord hath not called thy name Passer, but Magar Mesabib.
Right. No, the Lord, because of what you did, the Lord didn't change your name, boy. Go ahead.
For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, that they shall fall by the sword of their enemies.
See that? The Most High said, what you done did, the Most High is going to use you to mess your own life up. All your friends are going to fall by the sword. Go ahead.
And thine eyes shall behold it. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon.
So this is why he's saying what? Now read on down. This is why after the prophecy, he concludes it by saying, man, woe is me. Cursed be the day that I was born. Because the Most High showed him the desolation that Judah was going to come to. What was going to happen to all of Jerusalem? What was going to happen to the temple where his name was? Go ahead.
And he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword.
Continue.
Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of the city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them, and take them, and carry them to Babylon.
One more verse. Verse 6. The last verse, verse 6.
And thou, Pasur, and all that dwell in thine house shall go into captivity, and thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die, and shalt be buried there, thou and all thy friends to whom thou hast prophesied lies.
See that? So now you read on down a little bit more on your own, but this is the circumstance. He was crying over Jerusalem and over the desolation executed by what? The Babylonians at the word of the Most High. That's what he was talking about. Now, but that's the verse that brothers use. Cursed be the day I was born. Now let's go from there to one that I will only go as far as to say that could be used. You're gonna go to Job. You're gonna go to Job, chapter 1. And well, not even that. Who in this room does not know the story of Job? Everybody knows about Job, right? How the Most High had a meeting where it says all the sons came to present themselves, and Satan came also. Satan moved the Most High's hand to test Job, and Job lost everything. So we know that's in chapter 1, the Most High allowed Satan to take from Job all of his material wealth, all of it, right? In chapter 2, the Most High gave Satan authority to do what? To afflict his body, but to not go as far as to what? As to take his life. That's chapters 1 and chapter 2. I'm going to use the rest when we come back. Then we'll go into we're going to read chapter 3. So chapter 3 is, matter of fact, what we'll do is we'll read the end of chapter 2. We'll read first the end of chapter 1. We'll read the end of chapter 2, and then we'll go and start off in the beginning of chapter of chapter 3. So I'll be right back.
Maybe a couple weeks ago, how the Governor Cuomo of New York was rounding up the fake Jews. No, he was, over the scamdemic that we're all being subjected to, saying that they can't go to their house of worship, because of the numbers and all that. So he had pictures put in the newspaper of them gathering large crowds. But when you do research, you see that the picture that was used was from 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
We have two.
So he sent his attack dogs to go and round them up, start incarcerating them, and counting how many per household. Yeah, that was like a couple weeks ago.
I just read that they were trying to get together to congregate because one of the higher rabbi's son was about to get married. And they wanted to invite over 1,000 people to the wedding. And obviously, you know, that was but I didn't know that there was some type of peace between the fake Jews and
And there was a governor, Gavin Newsom of California. Oh my gosh. Okay, for those who are doing any celebrations, in this case being Thanksgiving, no more than, what is it, like 2 or 3 different families, you know, if you have guests to your home. Only one person can serve all the food. So Aunt Ethel, she's the only one who can serve all the food. No praying because you're spreading disease, no singing, and you must remain covered inside the house. Where you're paying bills. Remain covered and only uncover as you're going to eat, and then cover back up again. Okay, now the Hollywood elites who would normally be on their side, even they started tweeting out that they, like, you remember the actress Justine Bateman?
Yeah.
She said, "You're out of your mind."
Dumb. Unrealistic.
Those are just a couple of examples. There's plenty of others where they've just really gotten drunk off this newfound power. So, yeah, you have to be covered, man. That said it all right there.
I seen you look at you like, what? You seem like I was sitting here and then I went away or something and you were like, you saw it, right? See your face. Yes, it is.
Oh man, I'm working on fumes. I'm seeing all kinds of things.
No, you saw it. Like, I seen you just his face.
No, that was that other.
I said my name.
Oh. Oh yeah, if you try to go to New York, again, if you don't have a mask or something to that effect as you're trying to go through the bridge, gate, whatever, be prepared to shell out a few $1,000s at least.
They're going to be checking out with the toll.
Straight up tech. But of course, they have to bring in some kind of revenue since they pretty much chased out so many of their wealthy patrons. You know, excessive. No, they're coming here, actually, Texas.
Oh, they're coming here. I know that I just read that. No. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Where are they going? Austin?
Yeah. Like I say, whatever, keep their baggage back. It's like, if they're, United States is too racist, and I got news for him. There were some folks I've been listening to who were living in Canada. There's some more racism there than it is here. It's like, wow. I hadn't heard that one before. Tax the hell out of Canada.
Okay, we ready? Hey, I'm Yetazah. Shalom, brother.
Shalom.
How you feeling, Doc?
Yeah, I'm good. And you?
Cool, brother. Can't complain, man. We're getting ready to hit Job chapter 2. I'm sorry, Job chapter 1 first, and we're going to I'm going to show you. Let me get there. Job chapter 1. And just read Job. We're going to read Job chapter 1, verses 20 through 22, the last few verses of that. You guys, we know the story of Job. I just kind of want to see Job's reaction. What just happened? In chapter 1, starting at verse 6, the Most High is talking with Satan and so on. And Job's integrity comes into question. Somebody, is that you on the okay.
Yes.
And Job's integrity comes into question. And so the Most High allows Satan to strip him of all of his material wealth and his sons and daughters. All right. And that's where we are now. What is Job's reaction to that? Read verses 20 through 22. Amiyatazah. Thank you.
Job chapter 1 and verse 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged the Most High foolishly.
Exactly. So Job kept his integrity. In other words, he had the same qualities after his calamity. He retained them. He retained the same qualities for which the Most High boasted on him in the earlier verses of this chapter. He maintained them after this great calamity hit him. So on the Yetazah, let's go to chapter 2. And when verse and start off at verse 7. Chapter 2 and verse 7.
Job chapter 2 and verse 7. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife,
go ahead, Amadiah, go ahead.
Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die.
Out of everybody that the Lord took from him, and after everything that the Most High took from him, he left her. And this is all she had to say. Curse the Most High and die. Do you still retain your integrity after all of that? Won't you curse him and go on and die? Now watch his response. Go ahead.
Verse 10. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. See, I love that, because that shows they had foolish women even back then.
Exactly. He's telling her. He's saying you speak. Now, why is he saying that to her? Because she's his wife. He knows what he taught her. He knows how he raised their children. He knows that everything that he knows about the Most High, she knows. So that's why he's saying you're speaking as if you don't know. You're speaking like one of those people who are ignorant. You're speaking like the foolish women. Then he puts it in perspective. Continue.
What? Shall we receive good at the hand of the Most High, and shall we not receive evil? In all this, did not Job sin with his lips?
And so he maintained, even this woman recognized that he was maintaining his integrity. Now, read on down. You're going to read to the end of this.
Verse 11. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came everyone from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him.
Yeah, they all heard the news. They got in touch with each other through messengers and stuff, and they said, okay, we'll go down there. They agreed to go down together to help comfort Job. Now watch this. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept.
That means, hold on. They saw him from a distance and he was unrecognizable. He was so afflicted. Because remember, what did we read in verse 7? So went Satan from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore biles from the sole of his foot unto his crown. That means he was completely disfigured by this infirmity that the Most High let Satan hit him. And he had to just scrape himself because what? He was scraping the pus continually. So his three friends see him from afar off and start crying because he's unrecognizable. So that you have an idea of how he was being afflicted. Read on down, Amiyatazah.
Verse 12. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great.
Now that goes to show, and people, when you see people go through that, you know, someone will have suffered the death of a loved one, and you feel awkward because and they'll say, you'll know. You don't know what to say, so you just come and be with them and you don't say nothing. That's what they were doing with him. There was nothing they could say that could comfort him. When they saw that, they cried. So they just sat there 7 days and 7 nights. Now, what is Job's next course of action? I'm going to get to that verse 3. Chapter 3, verse 1.
Job chapter 3, verse 1. After this opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let the day be darkness. Let not the Most High regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it.
So he's going into the same thing as Job, but he's going to go farther. Now, what is he doing? Is he saying birthdays are wrong? The topic tonight is one that we handle with another congregation. It's about birthdays. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
so I'm going to use this in the scriptures to show that, first of all, Jeremiah, we read before you got here. We read that because that's the standard verse that people use to sustain their notion that you're not supposed to recognize, observe, or celebrate your birthday. But I took that and read the chapter, not the whole chapter, but enough of it to put into perspective why Job said, cursed be the day I was born. That's why we read the end of chapter 1 and the end of chapter 2 of Job, so that we could put this in perspective. Job is complaining about what? He says, it's better that I were not born than to suffer this. That's what he's saying. He's saying, the birthday is so evil, cursed be the day that I was born. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it.
Now, from there, you guys can read on down on your own, because it becomes quite reiterative that he's just saying, curse the day I was born. That's what he's saying, but he's saying it over and over. Don't let let darkness seize upon it. Let that day not see light. Let that day be stricken from that month. He goes on. Let that month be stricken from that year. He goes on. But we know now why. Because he was expressing the level, the degree to which his sufferings ran at the time. Now, what about this thing where people, brothers in the truth, sisters, they post information concerning Anton LaVey's. This is the cat that opened up, I believe he's the one that founded the Church of Satan back in San Francisco during the 70s, might have been during the 60s, but where they say that the highest honor to Satan is to recognize or to worship, or to not worship, but to recognize or to celebrate one's own birthday. Now, here's the question that I have. All right. First and foremost, let's go to 2 Corinthians. First and foremost, let's say that is, because I ain't about to pick up no damn satanic book to read it to find out if that's true. I'm going to assume that it is. But the question is, what book do we have to do with? Do we adhere to the satanic book now? Is that what we do? Let's go to 2 Corinthians. I'm yet to say, you're going to read verses, chapter 6, verses 14 through 18.
2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
So first of all, we don't hang out with people that don't believe the Bible. We don't consort with people who are into Satanism. In other words, neither is that a book whose doctrine we adhere to. That has nothing to do with us. That's them. I don't care what you find in that book. It don't apply to me. It don't apply to what I adhere to. Go ahead.
For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness?
So that means what fellowship is a term that means friendship. So what do we have to do with them? Since when did we start avoiding shit because it's found in the Book of the Dead? Because it's found in the Book of Mormon? Because they found it in the Book of Satan? What does that have to do with us? Go ahead.
And what communion have light with darkness? And what concord have Yahushua with Belial?
Yeah, what concord have Christ, who we represent, with Belial? Satan, nothing. They're gonna next be finding you, and the Satan, the greatest, the favorite dish of a Satanist is lamb. The greatest dish of the weekend dish is fish. The greatest Friday dish is fried chicken. Yeah, they're gonna be. You'll find yourself not being able to do nothing. You know why? Because you give Israel this knowledge, and they have the potential to become oppressive. And I'm speaking from experience. Israel is into oppressing their own people to make them feel like they know something. It makes them feel like they're really, like there's some kind of leading authority, or that they're actually some kind of priest. And they're slaves like the rest of us, waiting to be saved by Christ. That's why I listen to this madness, and I understand why when you read the book of Peter, it says that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. That means few of the righteous. They're the righteous that are going to scarcely be saved. Because many of Israelites' intentions are less than honorable. I'll put it like that. Less than sincere. And they can't see it. They probably mean well, but because they've been basing meaning like marinating in their own pride for so long, marinating in their own image of the love of themselves so long that they can't see that they're doing harm. Go ahead. Yet to start, read on. Read all the way down to 18.
Or what part have he that believeth with an infidel?
Yeah, an infidel is a non-believer. So what part with that he that believeth does we have, or do we have, with the non-believers? And the answer is in the question, none. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And what agreement have the temple of the Most High with idols? For ye are the temple of the living power. As the Most High have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people.
Right.
Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord. and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
So that means we will not touch the unclean book, the book of Satan. We will not adhere to anything in it. We're not of that sort. We're not in concordance with them. We have no fellowship with them. We are the sons and daughters of the light. They are the sons and daughters of the darkness. Go ahead, Amiette, is that it?
Verse 18. And will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty.
There you go. Now, the question I have next is, so let's say if we want to know what good and evil is, or better put, in order for us to know what we are allowed to perform, practice, and exercise, and what we are prohibited from performing, practicing, or exercising, what is it that we adhere to? We adhere to the Bible, particularly for that, what I just mentioned, the laws. So the question is, can that be found in the law? And that's my open challenge to anybody in Streamland or in the school to look it up and then show me. I'm not someone around here saying that I can't be taught, because I can be taught, but I'm not using no other book. You can keep your damn book of the Hyksos, you can keep your damn book of the dead, you can keep your damn book of Satan, you can keep your book of Mormon, you can keep the book of the fake book of Jasher, the fake book of Enoch, the fake all them books. You can keep them. Show me that in the Bible, and they can't. But I'm going to prove it to you that that's what we're supposed to use. So go to Romans chapter 7. Let me say this once again. What is it that the Most High used to teach us right from wrong? He used the law. Those are our basic, that's the guidelines for our basic parameters, man. Why I say basic? Because it's crystal clear, cut and dry, the law. When you start going outside of the basic parameters, you get into issues of wisdom. How to properly apply the law. But this one is so easy. All you got to go and find, thou shalt not honor your birthday, or the day that thou was born shall be unclean unto thee. You know, so go to Romans chapter 7 and read verse 7 only. Romans chapter 7 and verse 7.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? The Most High forbid. Nay.
Is the law sin? We know that the law is not. That's why Christ said, God forbid. We know that the law is not sin. Go ahead.
Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law.
Stop. He said, I would have not even known what sin is, but by the law. In other words, it is the law that taught me what sin is. So it's the law that teaches me when it's wrong to observe something, when it's wrong to participate, to exercise a practice, to participate in some custom. The law determines that for me, not no damn man. It's like, and it determines that for him also. Continue on, Yetazah.
For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
So that's what made coveting wrong. Paul says, I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet, because lust means desire and covet means to desire, but it's to desire that which doesn't belong to you, that which belongs to someone else. So what brought the fact that desiring someone else's anything, not just woman? What did the commandments say in Exodus chapter 20? Thou shalt not covet anything as thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's manservant. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's maidservant. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ass. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ass, nor any or ox or ass, no anything that is thy neighbor's. So he said, hold up. He's saying it was that taught me that was wrong. It was that law. It was that written prohibition that taught me to do so was wrong. Question, Nagaha.
So could this mislead someone? So for example, if the scripture doesn't say necessarily that, doesn't say you can't smoke weed, but then we take them to the scripture to show them about how you're the temple of the Most High, etc.
Let's get through the birthday first. No, I'm with you.
It's in relation to what you're saying.
Let's get to the birthday first, and then we'll expand outward.
No,
said
I'm not
that
expounding
because
out anything. It's in relation to the topic.
I know, but this is what I said. When I say outward, man, I want to deal with the birthdays because then I'm going to show that applies to anything.
Oh, okay.
But then the Most High also gives us what? The knowledge in the New Testament of the things of prohibiting uncleanliness, of prohibiting inordinate affection. These are the verses that it'll say uncleanliness, inordinate affections. And so when you deal with smoking weed, we're dealing with an affection, something that you have a desire for, but it's inordinate. Now, what does inordinate mean? In other words, what am I doing? See, people say weed, but it ain't weed. You're not supposed to smoke an apple. You're not supposed to smoke things because you can't eat those herbs for what they were created for. People be using the wrong thing. They think it's weed. It's not weed. It's what's being done with it. It's smoking it. We were created with lungs in our chest, not mufflers. We got lungs. People don't get it. And so what do the lungs do? The lungs oxygenate the blood. That's air. Why do the lungs oxygenate the blood? The lungs oxygenate the blood so that the blood can receive enough oxygen to burn off the energy that it receives from the food that also enters into it, but by way of the digestive system. When you don't, now let me show you. Who's a mechanic or knows something about the importance of air fuel mixture for the cars? Whether it's carbureted, whether it's fuel injection, you have to have the proper air fuel mixture. The fuel being the gasoline, the air is what have. If it's not enough oxygen, then it can't ignite. You know, that's what the spark plugs are for. In other words, the point is this: your body operates off of fuel. The fuel is food. It enters into a tank, a stomach, where it is received through the walls of the colon, small and large intestines, into little bitty finger-like things that got holes in them to go into the bloodstream. Then in order for that energy, that food to be burnt off and be able to be used, it has to have oxygen so that the body, that's why when you eat, you get warm. The food is creating heat, but it's because of the air that you're breathing that's combining with the food and allowing your body to burn it. And then what happens? You breathe that air serves its purpose, then you exhale it. So it's like the car receiving air, but the exhaust is putting out carbon monoxide. We're putting out carbon dioxide. It's a waste. So we're not supposed to smoke something that compromises the quality of our air. We're not
right.
So that means, like I said, so it's not about the weed. It's about what's being done with it.
I know.
That's why I say you're not supposed to smoke an apple. You ain't supposed to smoke lettuce. You ain't supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not supposed to take that because why? Because that is defiling the temple. And how do we know? All the lung cancer cases. So yeah, but I'm with you bringing it up. But that's why I said I don't want to deviate from the birthday. I'm going to deal with the
right.
issue.
I'm not deviating from the birthday. I'm trying to get to my point.
Go ahead.
So that's what I mean. You see how you expounded upon that topic just like you did? You can do the same thing with birthdays. So if someone uses birthdays in the fashion to use that day to idolize themselves, to potentially put themselves in a situation where they're worshiping themselves more than their culture, in the sense of, okay, I'm going to use today as an excuse to please my flesh, please my lust, because I deserve this day.
Okay,
the fashion in which you go about doing the birthday.
Help me out. That's true, but listen, help me out with pleasing their lust. Let's say it's your birthday and your woman want to give you some happy birthday booty. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It ain't got nothing to do with the birthday, though. You can do that any day.
Yeah, but let me say that maybe she want to do something different. The point I'm trying to
I can do that any other day.
Listen, let me say this, but let's listen. See, now we could be a Pharisee about it, but what I'm trying to show you is it could be done any other day, but is it being done to worship or exalt that person as any type of deity? We could do that we could say Thursdays is the day, me day, but we don't need a birthday to do that. Everybody's got YouTube, everybody's got Facebook, everybody's already worshiping their kids, all that type of stuff. That's being done all day. I'm just clarifying the phenomena of the birthdays, and then we move outward. That's why I'm dealing with the issues of the law. The law determines what is right and wrong, then the Most High knows you don't even need a birthday. You could just be prideful. Prideful is what? People don't understand. Pride is an overestimation of oneself. That is a form of idolatry to yourself. So it's like I said, I'm just trying to deal with the phenomena, or I shouldn't say the phenomena, the practice of the birthday with respect, and using that vehicle or using that topic as a vehicle to put the emphasis on what really is the issue. The issue is Israel have to learn how to adhere to the law, and we have to learn how to be able to scrutinize what it is that we adhere to, because this is the problem with Israel right now. We're in the age of information. Like the next topic, I don't know if the brother showed up here, but the topic that I was going to deal with was the mansers, right? Did I say it right that time? Okay. Why? Because people are going out of the scriptures. It always boils down to Israel. We be deviating from the scriptures. So no, your point is well taken, and your point is right. But like I said, then we could just exaggerate and go all out of bounds with most people are practicing idolatry in some form. Who was there in class? Troy read it. I had Troy read the definition of worship. It might have been Troy. Was that you, Troy, months ago? And one of the words that you found out, you read, it said, or was it? I don't know. It was one of the brothers. I had y'all read it, and one of the words popped up, romance. Because I've been trying to show people the whole, we don't do no romance. That's idolatry, but nobody knows that. But to sit up here and attribute deity-like qualities to anybody, for a woman to write a song attributing to a man God-like qualities, that's idolatry. He don't pull the sun up. Neither do the sun rise in her eyes. Neither does she have stars in her eyes. You know what I mean? People, and they think that that's love. So you're right. Anything can be used as a platform to go into idolatry. You know what I'm saying, Nagaha? But
right, and that's what I was saying. People can use it as an excuse to, like, today is the day I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want because it's a day I deserve to do whatever the fuck I want.
And let me say this, and you're right. But the point is, the issue, the reason why I wasn't going down that now, because I'm getting through the scriptures to deal just with the birthday, and then moving to all those other areas that the law defines for us. That's why, what did you hear me say earlier? You heard me say the law determines our basic parameters of operation. But then what did I say? Then after, because the reason I say basic is because they're clear cut. Don't do this, don't do that. But then I said, then you get into the next level of the parameters of our operation, and that requires wisdom, which means what? The correct application of laws, which means the Most High is using the law to teach us how to think. You understand? How to think like Him, how to think like Christ. That's why the scriptures in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 at the end, it says, "For we have the mind of Christ." So that means we're going to come across practices and potential indulgences that aren't necessarily written in the law. But because we understand the law so well, have put it into practice, the Most High sends us and gives us the wisdom to be able to apply that thinking to all of the other practices and instances that are not specifically written. And that's what people be lacking on. Because why? Because they don't take time to really get to know the law. You understand? That's what teaches us how to think. So read that verse again on the Yetazah. Read Romans chapter 7 and verse 7. Thank you, Nagaha.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? The Most High forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
So he's telling us what taught me not to covet was the law that told me not to covet. What taught me that coveting or lusting something that belonged to someone else, meaning desiring something that belonged to someone else, what taught me that was wrong was the law that said don't do it. So what teaches me whether or not to honor a birthday is the law that says thou shalt not do it. Okay, that's what made it wrong. And that's why the question was asked earlier in the verse is the sin then law? I mean, is the law then sin? No. Because why? Because it was that knowledge that woke us up and created in us. And then once we created in us that desire to know it, that desire to perform it, it instilled or woke up an incontinency, meaning a lack of control that exists in us already. And then you couple that with a curiosity that, well, why? Why not do that? And that's why the question could be asked from an ignorant perspective, was the law then sin? No, it was the law that taught us what sin is. Knowing that now, we go to chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Romans. Still, we're going to stay in Romans, a couple of more. Romans chapter 3 and verses 19 and 20. I'm going to say 9 and 10. Romans chapter 3, verses 19 and 20.
Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before the Most High.
Listen to this. Anything that the law, so now it's telling us what? The Most High is being very specific. What does this mean? That means the law that was given, it is only being applied and levied against those to whom it was given. You understand? In other words, not only did the law teach us what wrong was, but it taught a specific people. It was designed to teach those to whom it was given. And then all of them being the descendants, us being the descendants of those who were given the law, we're all what? Sinners. That no man maybe, read that again.
Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight.
Stop. What is that saying? By the deeds of the law, that means in following the law, in attempting to follow the law, none of us would be justified in the sight of the Most High. Why? Because we can all be found guilty in some aspect of various laws that's been broken. That's what that verse is saying. Go ahead. By the deeds of, it's saying if you're going to be, if your righteousness is going to be measured, and we decide we're going to use the deeds of the law, meaning how well you have performed the law to measure your righteousness, then nobody would be justified. Continue. Is that it?
For by the law is the knowledge of sin.
By what?
By the law is the knowledge of sin.
And not nobody's opinion. The knowledge of sin came by way of the law. For by law is the knowledge of sin. So, yeah, brother, I could idolize myself all day, every day. It don't have to be my birthday. The birthday might be the one day I decide to chill out. The point we're asking is it unlawful to honor, recognize, or celebrate one's birthday? And the answer to that question, using the law that teaches us what sin is, the answer to that question is no. Unless, now I'm saying no now. Y'all can hit me up, with the message, with the scriptures. Then I'll come and I'll say, listen, the brother or the sister remained anonymous, or the brother or the sister that told me is so-and-so, and listen, these are the scriptures. I'll come back next Friday and clear it up. That's what I'll do. Because that's what this is about. I ain't saying the Bible ain't real. I'm saying the Bible is real. I'm saying I ain't found that in the Bible. That's what I'm saying. And I don't adhere to Anton LaVey's Book of Satan or any other book. I'm a Yetazah. Let's back that one up though. 1 John, the little bitty book of John in the back, chapter 3 and verse 4.
1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law.
So if honoring your birthday was a sin, it would be because the law said so. That's what it would be. And people ain't gonna like it, but I could really care less. I'm being clean when I say that. There's just too much dogma going around. It's real good. Most likely gonna put us all in. Like I said, I listen And even myself, I could really see in myself why the Most High said the righteous are going to be scarcely saved, because we're too flawed for our own good. And we take our flaws, and the Bible is designed to clean us up, and we end up taking the Bible and not allowing ourselves to be cleansed by it, not allowing the Most High to come back and crystallize our perspective through His sight, through His vision. And that means we pick up too many foreign elements of foreign doctrines. They have not, like, when the person sent me the link about, the Satan, well, what the hell am I supposed to give a damn about that for? What, like, literally, we read the Bible. Why should that matter to me, that the highest honor of Satan in the satanic practices is a man honoring his birthday? Why? What does that have to do with us? That shows you that person or those people that are influenced, they're drawing upon what? The wrong information, a foreign source. And that's why it says in Proverbs, drink waters out of thine own cistern. Waters being what Christ referred to. This knowledge is water in what? In John chapter 12, with the Samaritan woman. Drink waters out of your own cistern. I think that's Proverbs 5 or Proverbs 3. Drink waters out of thine own cistern. Period, point blank. That means receive the information that's yours, that was given to you. Now, verse one more time, I'm yet to 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Then we're going to go back to Romans chapter 4.
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
There you go. And like I said, man, I'm waiting to be corrected, not as a challenge, but as a request, because nobody knows all of the Bible. And contrary to what some people believe, the Most High don't give the information, all of the information, to just one person or just to one source. When I say one source, the source is the Bible, but not all of us are opened up to all of it. And that's why the scriptures say, for we know in part, we prophesy in part. That's what it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Okay. So Romans chapter 4, verses 14 and 15.
Romans chapter 4, verse 14. For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect.
Hold on. This is cold, because one of these days we're going to actually have to go through this whole book of Romans, at least from Romans chapter 1 all the way, the whole book. Well, I say that, I mean, with respect to the information that Paul drops concerning the dynamic between following the law and then being saved, salvation as a result of following the law, as opposed to salvation as a result of believing on Christ. That is a topic that we could really examine, so we can understand what this verse is saying. So read that verse 14 again, Amayetazar.
For if they which are of the law be heirs,
if they which are of the law be heirs, what is he referring to when he says those that are of the law be heirs? He's talking about, first of all, when he says heirs, meaning salvation. Who is salvation designated to? For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void. What is that saying? You had two camps back then, for the most part. You had those that the Mosaics, we'll call them that, right? That believed that salvation was granted by fulfilling the law. Then Paul is coming back and saying, if that is so, if you are an heir, if you inherit salvation as a result of having fulfilled the law, then faith is void. Then this has nothing to do with the fact that you have to believe in Christ. Why? Because independently of Christ, you have performed that which grants you admission into heaven, and that grants you your salvation. That's what he's saying. He's saying that if it's really about you being able to fulfill the law, then that even cancels out faith as an option. Read on down.
Faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect.
Now, why does he say the promise? What is the promise? The promise is one thing and one thing only. The promise is that the Most High said he would gather us from the countries where he scattered us and take us to the land that he gave to our fathers. That's a promise. It goes back to Genesis 15, chapter 15 and verse 18, where it says, on this day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. Then he gave them the borders from the great river of Egypt, all the way to the river Euphrates. And then he gave the other dimensions. Then he named the people who were occupying the land at the time. That was the covenant, and the promises were based on that. That was from that's chapter 13, chapter 15. So between Genesis chapter 12 and Genesis chapter 15, the Most High approached Abraham on 3 occasions. The first time he made mention of this promise of the giving the land to Abraham's seed, he just alluded to it. He said, look at where you are. Go down and get into Canaan. I'm going to give your seed that land. Then the famine came. Abraham had to go down into Egypt and came back up, and the Lord gave him a little bit more. Look to the east, look to the west, look to the north. All of this I'm going to give you kids. Then by the time you get to chapter 15, I'm going to see you, sister. By the time you get to chapter 15, he says, now I'm going to give you this land. And then he gives the specific dimensions of the land so that we don't miss what your question is, sister. What is your question?
It's about Genesis chapter 21 and 8. Was that about?
You got to speak louder.
About Genesis chapter 21, verse 8.
Can you read it?
And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned.
So it's talking about Isaac after he was weaned. So what is the question?
Is that referring to a birthday?
You know what? Let me say this. It could be referring to a birthday. Read it again. It's not telling you a birthday party, right? But when he say weaned, like, let's do this favor. Look up the definition of weaned, because you're going to see there's a process. And I always assumed that it was the time when the child was actually what? Brought off of the mother's breast. Now, it could be more than just that, but that's what weaned usually meant. So look up that, someone in the dictionary, and look up weaned. Hey, sister, excuse me, not A, but excuse me, sister, is that W-E-A-N?
Yes.
Okay, look that up, please. Thank you, sister. That's a good question, sister. You know, because it was a common practice. Who got it? Anybody have it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mawala.
1828 Webster Dictionary, wean, accustomed or reconciled to the want of the breast or other object of desire.
All right. So it said the breast, right? Because that's in Isaiah chapter 28, right? Who shall the Lord teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand the doctrine? Them that are weaned from the breast and drawn, or was it weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast? So yes, Amayathia.
On the Donovan Bible Dictionary, it says the weaning of a child was celebrated by a feast and with an offering.
So I wouldn't say, let me say this. See, it doesn't say, but it could have easily been what? Like, okay, he's 3 years old now. He's 5 years. Because people think you give your kid breast for 1 year. You're supposed to give your child breast anywhere from 3 to 4 years. That's why they make a big deal out of weaning the kid. And then, of course, we grew up in this cultures where they'd be lucky if they get 3 months for the maternity leave, and then the women don't even want to be having the child on their breast. That's the whole Western. And people get mad. They run around here with thongs on in public, run around here with their titties hanging out on university campuses, get mad when a woman is someplace discreetly breastfeeding a child. You know, I guess they'd be mad because the child didn't get aborted. Who knows? But sister, that could have could have been it could very well have been the case. He's 4 years old now. Or it could have been that at the time when they noticed the teeth, you know, I don't know, because I was explaining this to another congregation earlier, or actually it was a couple down in Atlanta, that we're so far alienated from our culture that little basic things like this, we don't even have the understanding of. But that very well could have been it, sister. You know what I mean? It could have been denoted, it could have been to wean him, saying, okay, after 3, once he turns 4 years old, he's done, you know? Or it could have been once they noticed a certain level of physically development. They could have noticed, they could say, okay, at this age, look at how he is physically, look at how he is physically in comparison to, if you could say intellectually at that age. It could have been by his physical stage that he had arrived at, or it could be, for instance, like the little girls. You know, we don't wait till whatever birthday. We say, oh man, you start noticing her development coming. You say, well, you gotta start putting your daughter, you talk to your wife, you gotta go and start buying some training bras for your daughter. We don't wait till no specific birthday, do we? We wait until we kind of begin to notice her developing. The same when you say, okay, she's about 11 years old, man, you gotta have her ready, start having that talk, because she's gonna, who knows how long it'll be before she starts getting her period. You understand? We don't wait till a birthday for that.
Nagahar's got a question. I'm concerned about this, Kalkar. I got a scripture. But Nagahar's got a question.
Well, okay,
says,
go ahead.
He says, what about this one? Is this a birthday? And this is Job chapter 1, verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them.
No, that's not, because you have, listen, what verse is that?
Job chapter 1 and verse 4.
Read above it. He had 7 sons, and they, what was it, 7 or 6, and every one of them, he had 7 sons, 3 daughters, and every one of the week they feasted a different day. But listen, let's deal with let me go ahead. Read it first.
From what verse?
Read it from verse 1.
Okay. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared the Most High and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters.
So listen, 7 sons, how many days in the week? 7. Go ahead.
Verse 3, his substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East.
So I mean, he was the richest of his region, the East, being the region being East, the richest. Go ahead.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them.
So their life, everyone was,
birthday.
Nothing about a birthday.
Like I'm confused, like where all this is coming from, because if you go to second,
go ahead and talk. I'm gonna use the restroom, okay? I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, like
a question for me, or
no, I'm to everyone, because it's not just you, Nagahard. Like it's clearly a belief within the camp. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm confused where everyone's got this doctrine from about or this concern about birthdays, because if we read 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3, right? And this is really what's concerning me. It says, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Yahweh Shai. So someone has beguiled like you guys, and because this life is not hard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, believe me, I'm not, and I'm far from perfect, right? It's not difficult. This calling, it's demanding, right? Now there's a difference between hard and demanding. Demanding is talking about what's required of us, the level of, focus, the level of intensity, the level of thoughtfulness and consideration that the Most High wants from us on a minute by minute basis, on a daily basis, the love, the consideration we have to show to one another, right? We can't be getting caught up in trivial stuff. Now, okay, maybe to other people, this is not trivial, but for me, it's just showing a lack of understanding of this life. It's showing a lack of understanding of what the Most High wants from us, right? So when this thing is talking about the simplicity, really and truly, we're supposed to, you know, get taught the laws, understand, okay, we can't do this, we can't eat that, I can't roll like this with my brother, I can't roll like this, you know I'm saying, with his belongings, I can't think of certain things like this. And then you just live in your life. It's that simple. Moses, Abraham, the apostles, they weren't walk, and this is what bugs me out. They weren't walking around with these scrolls, you know I'm saying, every day, and every little thing. I got to read the scroll on this. No, they were just living. They were eating, they were enjoying life, they were laughing, they was working, they was doing their thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Before we got the truth, before we got the scriptures, right? That's how we were rolling. How I understand how when Israelites come into the truth, now we get over righteous. Now we can't live. Now we can't think. Now we can't function. This life is very simple, and and to be honest, it's not that much different, right, to how you were rolling. You know what I'm saying, in the world. Yes, that we understand certain things you can't do, but really, all you got to do. This is how simple it is. Now, granted, yes, we got certain teachers amongst us because we got different parts of the body. Carl Cobb is clearly a teacher, an amazing teacher. Do you know what I'm saying? Not everyone's going to be a teacher like Carl Cobb. For some people, for example, myself, my role in the body when we had our business in Guatemala, basically, I was working and I made sure I gave myself over to that. Just like how you see Carl Cobb's giving himself to teaching. So for some people, your role as a woman, your role might just be to serve your man. Do you know what I'm saying? Understand what your role is and play your role and give your mind over to it. That's what the Most High loves. That's what people don't understand. The Most High just wants to see you giving your mind, giving your body, your soul over to your calling. So if your calling is to work the malls, that should be the only thing you think about. As they say in the world, you want to live, breathe, you know what I'm saying, eat this thing. The Most High loves that. And the Most High will bless you abundantly. It's that simple. It's not hard. It's not hard. Don't abuse your brothers. Don't disrespect people. Be considerate. Do right. This thing is not very difficult. And so going on Facebook or wherever and engaging, which I'm saying, in debates or picking up dots from other people, let them do what they're doing. There are a lot of Israelites, right, that aren't sincere in this thing. There are a lot of Israelites, as Carl Cobb said earlier, they're about their pride, they're about their ego, and they want to appear deep. They want to be dropping something different. So everyone's like, oh, wow, he said that. Forget them. Forget that person. This life is not hard, I'm telling you.
And let me say this, well, first of all, I want you to continue because I don't want to interrupt you. But I want to add something on top of that.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Okay, well, did we get a chance before in here? Because I'm starting to get congregations all confused and stuff now, you know, what we went over. But Ecclesiastes in the Bible, I think we went over this. We didn't, then we will. If we did, then I'll reiterate it, so that we can see where the source of potential confusion. Because the reason why I say potential, because some people, they don't get confused, and some it don't be confusing. They just, you know, it's another piece of information that they have to navigate through, or that they have to decipher. That's how it is. But this is what the Most High admonishes us on. I guess you might read Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 12. And I think I think I want you to start at verse 8. It might be verse 7, but read verse 7 just to see. It's the verse, it's either verse 7 or 8. It says, vanities, vanities, all is vanity. Which verse is that?
Verse 8.
Okay, read verse 8.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 8. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. All is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise,
Now,
still
Solomon is referring to himself as the preacher. The book of Ecclesiastes, it means to call out or to preach. This is where the people get the term iglesia or church. The church is a word that stems from a Latin word that means to call out or to preach. And so that's why he said the preacher. Now he's talking about his works. He's talking about the ones that we know of as Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, the wisdom of Solomon. Go ahead, Amiyetazah.
And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs.
Go ahead.
The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies.
Now listen to what he's saying. He's telling you what he done. He spent a large part of his life instructing. This is what he's telling you. Now he's coming to the conclusion. He's saying the words of the wise, meaning your teachers, are as golds. A gold is a sharp instrument. It's a long stick-like instrument that has a sharp point on the end. And the purpose of it is to drive cattle. The intention is used to be able to stimulate cattle to get to move in a direction, to get them to move. Now, today they use the very same things, but they have the long things and they have electrical charges on the end where they issue a shock. He's telling you what teaching is like. He said the words of the wise are as golds, meaning though, real quick, look that up. Somebody look up G-O-A-D. G-O-A-D, gold. So you can see I ain't making it up. And we're going to get to the point. Whoever gets it, call it out, and then you can read it.
Gold. From Webster 1828, to incite, to stimulate, to instigate, to urge forward.
Okay, you hear that? Listen, but that's the verb. Look for the noun. We're waiting.
I got the definition right here.
Okay, go ahead. Read it.
To prove. Got it. Go, 1828 dictionary. To incite, to stimulate.
No, listen up. That is that verb. That is used as to do something in action. Look for the same word and look for it. It should say V, which means verb, and the other one should say in, which means noun. No, we don't want the action. We want what the gold is, because he said the word of the wise is as gold. So he's talking about a thing.
I got it, Kaka.
Thank you. Read it.
Gold. The noun is a spiked stick used for driving cattle.
Thank you. So that you can see. Now, why do I say that? Because he's showing you the effect that a teacher is supposed to have. He's showing you how teaching goes. It's a spike. Now watch, he's going to give you another analogy on how you get it. Go ahead, Amiyah, read that from the top again. The words of the wise. What verse is that?
Verse 11. The words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies.
Stop. Now, that's the second thing. So in one aspect, in one analogy, he said it's like a stick that you're using to stick people with to get them to move on for cattle. But then he says, how is it delivered? Like nails fastened. How do you fasten nails? They got to be hammered in. They got to be hammered in. That's how you put a nail in. That's how the master of assemblies uses nails. He hammers them in. And then the most important thing that I'm using this verse for is to convey, read on down on me, Etazah. Read it from the top again.
The words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd.
Which are given from how many shepherds?
One shepherd.
That's the problem. You guys be drawn off of too many sources of information.
Exactly.
That's true. And that's why the Most High said, because of that, you have to be hammered in and it has to be prodded. You have to be prodded into the direction that you're supposed to go. You have to be given information and it has to be fastened like nails, meaning hammered in. And this is nothing new. This is Israel what? This is why we're in slavery. We always drew go to Proverbs 5. It's going to be in 5 or 3. Look for the verse that says, drink waters out of thine own cistern.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it's in one of the earlier chapters of Proverbs.
It's Proverbs 5 and 15.
Thank you. Read that on me. Yes, it's Proverbs chapter 5 and 15.
Drink waters out of thine own cistern.
So the cistern, hold on. The cistern, you guys know about housing and building and how they have a cistern. Every home has its own cistern, and then along with it, the portion of the cistern, it has a septic tank for the deposits of water that come from the plumbing and the stooling and stuff like that. So he says, drink cisterns, drink water out of your own cistern. That means your water should belong to your source of water. Now we already know, like I said earlier, from John chapter 4 and the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman at the well, that Christ and the Bible uses water as a parable to say information. Drink it out of your own cistern. And now, understanding that you have the cistern, your cistern should be what? Be drawing from one pump, meaning one teacher, one shepherd. And I love all the brothers, but I don't interfere with nobody else's congregation. Brothers will call me from different sources and be like, listen, from different schools. And such, I'll be like, well, did you ask Johanna? Or did you ask this person? Or did you ask that? And they said, no, well, go back and ask him, brother. And they be wondering why. I said, because that's your teacher. Simple and plain. Yeah, but we all teach the same thing. No, we all don't. Now, you talk to me when you've talked to him. I tell brothers that have called me for counsel. The first thing well, did you talk to a war Shamchuan? Well, get back with them, and then afterward, get back with me. I do that for you guys there in Texas. So this is what the Most High is telling us, because that's where the confusion, and maybe confusion might be too strong a word I'm using, but I use that word because I don't know any other word that would be lesser, less. Huh?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but that's what happens. And then, and so we end up what? This is what happens when we be on a quest for information, but
yes,
but like I'm yesterday, but at the same time, not having given ourselves over to the work, because then you become preoccupied in the verses that help you become the most powerful that you have to be for what you have to do. Hold on, yes, sister.
So I feel like this whole notion came about.
I need you to come closer so I can hear you, please. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
What about now?
God, that sound like the cell phone commercial. Now I can hear you.
So I believe this whole notion came about just in my personal experience, because we are of the mindset, I don't want to speak to everybody, I'll say myself, that obedience is better than sacrifice. So it feels to me as though this came about because, let me think. So the idea that by you celebrating your birthday, the person who's having the birthday kind of like comes up. I'm trying to figure out how to put it.
I know, sister.
There's a spirit behind celebrating somebody's birthday. And so when you're putting all this attention and you're doting on this person, they begin to have an air about themselves for the day.
Well, hold on. The same could be said about a wedding. But we all acknowledge it's that person's wedding, and it is about them doting on them. It's about that person. It's about that woman. It's about that bride. So there's nothing wrong with that. The Most High just tell us don't worship nobody. Ain't nothing wrong with having your day. The scripture, listen, give me the verse. Deprive thyself not. That's in the Apocrypha. The Most High said, deprive not thyself of the good day. Now that day is determined by you.
I used to love that scripture.
Huh?
I used to love that scripture.
I know, because you were. I used to have to cut your ass with that one, brother. Hold on. Hey, sister, don't go nowhere. I just want to, and please forgive me for cutting you off, but in your speech, I want to show you that as the ideas come up, we need to combat the ideas so that you can walk away being clear-minded on every aspect of it. The people, I mean, did you find it?
Yeah.
Call it out.
Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 14.
Hold on. You wasn't going to forget that one, even after all the years, help me get this up.
It's one of my favorite scriptures.
I remember. Okay.
Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 14. Defraud not thyself of the good day.
Defraud not thyself. Meaning don't defraud yourself of that good day. Don't let that day pass you by. Go ahead.
And let not the part of a good desire overpass thee.
And let not the part, meaning your part, what you can do in the day, in a desire that you have, overpass thee. Now, what happens if that happens to be a person's birthday? There's nothing wrong with that. The Most High tells us not to idolize nobody. And then he makes it clear, do not incline yourself to them or to the images. Do not offer them incense. Do not worship them. But it could be somebody's day, and I have a good, I'm sure every time Mama Yakazan and Rashwan and brothers had a birthday, I went out and got them their drink, and we had a good time. Yeah. And made the point to make sure that sometimes, and we never had a lot of time. On one occasion, I remember we went out, Mama Yakazan and myself. On a second occasion, him, myself, and Rashwan, 2 times in all of our years of working together, shooting pool. But it's because we really didn't have a lot of time. But in other words, there's nothing wrong with that. When I remember back in the day when I was coming up in New York, the day that brothers passed the soldiers test, officers test, the priest test, the camp went out and bought drinks, got you in the circle and saluted you. And we had and it was about you that day. It was about you that day. The first day when you went up on the street speaking zone, that was a big thing. That was like a damn bar mitzvah. You know, it was your day. And the brothers celebrated you for that day. And you felt good. You went home and you said, I'm going to study my ass off. But the brothers is being too religious. I say brothers, sisters, because we're in charge of teaching the knowledge. And so we're supposed to, that's why I said all the Most High want is for us to honor him. He ain't about us not having a good time. The hell is wrong with people? So I'm taking that analogy. I hope I haven't made you lose your train of thought. But as the thoughts pop up, I want to be able to address them. So let's go with that analogy. Let's say they took this birthday and then they made it all about this brother or this sister. Well, is there a scripture that says it can't be? This one said, don't let that day pass you up.
Well, I think that would have been taken as idolatry, when that, of course, is directly mentioned in the Bible. So I don't want the impression to be that we're just like some sheep that don't have we just mindless sheep, because we are doing we're just obeying essentially.
Right.
But I mean, we're going, like you just said, if you don't put your opinions in other people's congregations, but this congregation has made a decision to unify and to not celebrate birthdays, then is there an issue with that? I'm not saying,
let me say
I understand
this.
what you're saying as far as the birthday not being directly in the scriptures. I get that wholeheartedly, but based on whatever spirit is evoked by celebrating the birthday is how this congregation has decided to go. So I just brought up the question because I was curious to know if it was wrong. And so
okay, no, well, let me say this. There's been times, me being there, where I've got the consent, not from the men in the camp, but from my co-workers. And we decided, okay, we're gonna go, and Warren's done this. Everybody's been a part of a drinking ban. And there's a law that says you can't drink. But you understand, I'm saying that to say, I can see that under that consent, you guys say, okay, we're not gonna be dealing with no birthdays. Then I can see that. But my job is to teach what the law is, among many other things, particularly what the law is, what's right and wrong. But if you decide, if collectively the camp have decided to come to the conclusion that that we're not going to celebrate birthdays for deeper spiritual matters, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's say somebody or someone among you didn't want to, then you would have to go, the issue would become right and wrong.
Right.
you understand, the issue will become a whole
There are
down.
those in the congregation that have still decided to celebrate birthdays, but they do that, but as far as I'm aware, the majority do not, because we are under one consensus that is, you know,
There's
what
nothing, listen,
that we're going.
there's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I'm not into birthdays. The people in my house will tell you, we're not into birthdays. But we recognize everybody's birthday. LT's birthday is tomorrow. He turned 23. Does he get anything? Slice of bread that we make tonight, but we make that same bread every Friday night because we have marathon teaching on Saturdays. Some of you this up. And so I eat breakfast in the morning, and then at 11 o'clock at night, at 11 o'clock at night, I eat my piece of carrot cake that they made Friday. But that's something it just so happens that the carrot cake they just made it tonight because we got marathon day tomorrow with another congregation, and LT's birthday just happened to be tomorrow. Is anybody gonna put 23 candles in his little piece of bread and sing happy birthday to him? No, but we sang happy birthday to my younger daughter and my younger son, 10 and 11. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I don't be, so that's what I'm saying. The concept or the practice of coming to an agreement on what the camp decides, even though this is not against the law, or whether not knowing it or not, we're not going to celebrate birthdays because of the spiritual implication that it could carry. There's nothing wrong with that either. But for the sake of us knowing what the Most High wants us to know, because that's why the scriptures say, be ye not over wicked. It says, be ye not over wise, be ye not over righteous, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Now, how can one destroy themselves being over righteous? Well, we have the perfect example in our forefathers that wouldn't fight because it was the Sabbath, and so they all got slaughtered. Now, the birthday isn't that big a deal, but the point is, sister, you haven't done anything wrong, the congregation, and coming under an agreement that we're not going to do it for any other reason. But if there was contention from members in the congregation feeling as though that was being unfairly imposed, then what would we have to do? We would have to go, and the final determinant would be what the law of the Most High says. You understand? That's why we need to know. So, like I said, brothers, defraud not thyself of the good day, and let not the part of a good desire overpass thee. But then there's balance. Then there's balance. The scriptures tell you that what? It says, no, I'm yet to find the one that says, because this is what when you used to pull this out, I would pull the other one out. It would
That's
say,
not a question,
yes.
Right. I was just trying to, so it wasn't about anyone being beguiled, so to speak, or all of us are just caught up, or I'm caught up thinking about just birthdays every damn day. It's about us redefining ourselves as a culture and coming back into who we are. These are the questions that are still in Israel, because coming from both ends, we got people who celebrate birthdays and we got people who don't. I've celebrated birthdays with brothers. I have not celebrated birthdays with brothers who said they choose not to.
Right.
So it's trying to find out just, what's the proper way to go in order to serve the Most High the proper way.
Well, you know what? Let me say this. The proper way is what you guys are doing. You're learning, and you just said the perfect way. There's certain brothers that you do, and there's certain brothers that you don't. Bang. But still, what empowers you, what empowers you is to simply know, according to the Most High, what's right and wrong, and then you can operate from there. That's something that the Most High want us to know. That's why the scriptures say, concerning, it says, in understanding be ye men. In guile, I think it says in malice. In malice be ye children, but in understanding be ye men. So now that applies to the women. The women are supposed to be men, but it's saying be mature. And so, concerning malicious qualities, negative qualities, we're supposed to be like children. But concerning levels of understanding, we're supposed to be mature and be adult about it. And so I'm not coming, so that you brothers and sisters understand, what am I here to do? I'm here to make sure your mind is straight so that you can make the best decisions for yourself. Concerning the Most High, your mind is straight. What angers him, what displeases him, what pleases him. That's it. You understand? I also do know that the issues many times they come from just multi-sourcing. And then sometimes you deal with a source that may have more information than myself. There's a whole lot of brothers that know way more than me because I choose to not give a damn about nothing but how to get saved. So you ain't gonna hear me in debates. I'm not gonna be debating with the Ramuder and the Feastbar and the Grand Poobah from the conscious community. I'm not gonna be debating with nobody. I'm not gonna be debating the Hicks Coast thing, whatever how you say the Hyksos. The niggas that said that we was the Hyksos, whatever it's called. I'm not gonna be debating that because we weren't. Now, why do I say I don't be debating that? Because I hold topic that I teach on to prove we weren't, that Israel was not in Egypt in the ancient days and we didn't suffer for 430 years. We didn't go in and conquer it and take it over. We went in as refugees. We went in fleeing from a famine. We had been in an Egyptian province called Canaan for 250 years. We ended up in an Egyptian proper, meaning the actual Egypt territory in the land called Goshen, where we spent the rest another 215 years. The total time that we spent in the land of Egypt was 430 years, 215 in the land of Canaan, 215 in Goshen, and then out of that 430 years, we didn't suffer any more than 144 years. That's the math according to Genesis, literally. So I'm just giving an example of what I stick with. I stick with what's in the Bible. Brothers will bring them in and say, oh yeah, but in the book of so-and-so, in this book, I could fucking care less about him in this damn book of the Hyksos. He could, because why? Because all I'm trying to do is get saved. I ain't trying to be smart.
Exactly.
I ain't trying to be what they call a scholar. It's clear I ain't trying to be scholarly. My choice of words, but what is it that's going to get me saved? You understand? Number one, what I adhere to and how I treat you, how I service you. You understand? That's the truth. And so all the other things, so people will be compelled to go outside of me, and I'll just listen. And I don't have, and then they'll go out and get the book of Jasher and get all screwed up in the head. They don't have the presence of mind to realize when you read the book, was it Samuel? 1st or 2nd Samuel is where the book of Jasher is introduced to us. It tells you about a king. It tells you about something that happened with the king. Then it says, is this not written in the book of Jasher? Then the brothers go get the book of Jasher and can't find shit about that king. Then that ain't that book. So that's why I say I'm not coming at the fact that brothers and sisters have issues, because we're supposed to have issues. And like Naga said, we are trying to, what the goal is to come back and using the tool that we have, the ordained tool being the Bible that we have. The goal is to come to make our way back to the Most High as much as we can with this tool. So, but when we come into the world, we have all of these issues, but some of the issues do stem from information that we come across in social media and in talking to other people. So it's like impossible. You're supposed to talk to other people. You might end up trying to teach somebody and they might bring something to your attention and you might need to get straight on it. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. It just means, that question was generated from an outside source. It's not saying that it's wrong, but the reason why I said I'll go to the book of Proverbs chapter 15, we got to finish that because the sister asked the question in the midst of that. Go back to Proverbs 5 and 15. I'm going to show you, this is what the scriptures tell us, what we're supposed to be doing with our source. Read that again, Yetazar.
Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 15. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well.
That means our source of information, parable. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad.
Now hold on. Our fountains, it's the very same cistern, it's the very same well, now it's calling it a fountain. We're supposed to influence people. We're not supposed to be influenced. Our water's supposed to flow, because that's what the Most High wants. I'm supposed to be coming back to him, like, yeah, man, this dude, man, he showed me this thing, man, in the Book of the Dead or whatever, or Enoch, and did you know that Noah was white? Because that's what the book of, one of them books be teaching that Noah was the first white man. But how do we know that conflicts with the Bible? Because you go to Leviticus chapter 13, and when a person turned all white, they're lepers. They're making brothers. So it turns out that they don't have enough knowledge in the Bible to be able to what? To discern, like the scriptures say, good and evil. So as I read that verse, what is that, verse 16?
Yeah. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets.
So that means what? That we're supposed to be, influencing people. And why? That's because we know that we got the truth, and we're supposed to be able to what? Draw people to the light of Christ. That's our calling. That's why we were put here. We were put here to be the people that the vessels, the conduits through whom people are drawn to Christ. And through Christ, they make their way back to the Most High. Anyway, so let's go back on the last verse in Romans that I had read, or that I had you read. What was it?
Romans, was it 5?
It was Romans chapter 4. I wanted you to go to Romans chapter 4, verse 14 and 15.
Romans chapter 4, verse 14. For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect.
Right.
Because the law worketh wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression.
So that's something that I wanted to pull out. Where no law is, that's speaking twofold, and I'm going to explain both. Where no law is, there's no transgression. Number one, it's speaking concerning to whom the law is given. The other nations weren't given the law, and so they can do the same things that we were told, thou shalt not do. And they're not sinners. They're evildoers. They're going to be judged. They're going to be judged for their evil deeds. But the sin, why is it that if they commit adultery, they're not sinners? They're evildoers. They're adulterers, but they're not sinners because they're not the seed of the people to whom the contract was made. That's what sin is. The sin is the sin is the transgression of the law. So where no sin is the law, where no law is, was the law put in Moab? Was the law put in Ammon? Was the law put in Ishmael? There's no transgression. But it's also saying what? Where no law is, meaning if you weren't told not to do it, it's not a sin. But then we have to consider the thinking that the laws, right, have taught us how to think. So you won't go, and I always use this as an example, you won't go and find a law that says thou shalt not abort a child. But you will go in and find a law that tells you if two men strive and they hurt her, and one of them hit the woman and she lose her seed, that's the law specifically that says whatever comes out, it says whatever happens, it says if there be mischief, if it says if she be hit, if she get hit and she lose the seed that she's carrying, and there follow no mischief, you can be did something, cause her to have what you call a miscarriage, and the baby end up being premature, but healthy. It says then the father of the child shall deal with the judges and determine how he's going to be compensated, because it's still an injury. But then the verse says afterward, but if there be mischief that follow, then thou shalt give to the other person, it says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and it goes down the line. That's where you get that term eye for an eye, from that circumstance. So that teaches me that if I fight, if my actions, fighting is inconsequential. It's just the method, it's the means through which I accidentally hit a woman and caused her to lose her seed, and the seed died. If I do that, and that's an accident, if the baby died, I could be put to death. That shows me that I'm not supposed to intentionally, I'm not supposed to intentionally pay for an abortion, and a woman is not supposed to intentionally get an abortion. That has taught me how to think concerning something that isn't written. You understand? So that's why we said we really do have to deal with the law. So when it says where no law is, read verse 15 again, Amayetazah.
Because the law worketh wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression.
So if the Most High didn't say don't do it, then it's not a transgression. But then it could be one of those practices that through understanding of the law, it can clearly be arrived at that it is lawless, or it's unlawful to do. But there is no, I'm going to say this, there is no law that I know of, I'm always saying like that I can say can be used as an auxiliary to help me see that the birthday, because then let's put the birthday to the side and let's say it's a wedding celebration. Let's say the girl turned 16 and she's going, or 15, she's going to have a quinceañera. You understand? Let's say the boy turned to a certain age and he's going to have the Israelite equivalent of a bar mitzvah. The Bible doesn't say that. So I guess we can do one last, well, let's do two more. No, let's do one more. It's in Romans, go to chapter 5 and read verse 13. And it just reiterates the same thing. Romans chapter 5 and verse 13.
For until the law, sin was in the world.
Stop. When it says until the law, that means until the law was placed, until the law was given to Moses, sin was already in the world. Before the Most High had Moses come down from the mount with the laws, with the commandments, sin was, meaning the things that the Lord would come to tell us, thou shalt not do, they were already being done. Go ahead.
But sin is not imputed when there is no law.
But until the Most High said you can't do it, sin is not imputed, meaning it's not held against you. It's not levied. Your actions that later on will be found as sinful once the law is given. Until that law comes, sin is not imputed. So how much more is it not imputed if the law comes and that thing ain't found in it? The Most High gave the law now, but there's certain prohibitions that haven't been made. Then those things aren't lawless, or those things aren't unlawful to do. But like I said, through the extended process of gaining wisdom and being taught how to maneuver in times where, I mean, even back then, I'm saying times like now, but even back then, the Most High did not write everything in the book that a human being could possibly encounter and be confronted with and have to maneuver through. He didn't write everything. He gave us enough to know how to what? To understand this and have his spirit come and teach us how to maneuver through the things that aren't written. And that's why it's so important to know this law or the law. So I'm Yathia.
I myself also got caught up into this birthday thing. And then up until a few months ago, I stopped watching other videos. So I don't do or watch anything outside of this house, which is ISBHPK San Antonio. But I have a few scriptures where I got confused. And then I pulled the scripture to balance all that out. Genesis 40 and 20, where it says the Pharaoh celebrates his birthday. And then Jeremiah 10, 2 and 3, where it says, do not as the heathen do. And then Jeremiah 7 and 18 about the cake and the queen of heaven. And it said that because you put candles on it, you're sacrificing to this queen of heaven.
Right.
But then I'll go to Matthew 2 and 11, where they came and gave Christ gifts when he was born.
Happy birthday to you. That's what I'm trying to show you. But see, there's no law. And see, that so we can, let me say this. I can go, I say me, it would be Amiyatazar. One can go on the internet and find hieroglyphics of Egyptians carrying, their priests carrying something that would be described, that would be similar to the Ark of the Covenant. Did you know that? That practice was before the Most High gave it to us. You can find hieroglyphics of that, just like you can find hieroglyphics of damn helicopters and submarines in Egypt. But that's why the Most High tells us what is right and wrong. So the very same, when he says, keep not the way of the heathen, he's telling you. Then let me put it, then we could go as far as to say the Muslims don't eat pork. right?
Exactly.
So, but you know, and we know we don't eat pork, but since the Muslims don't eat pork, keep not the way it either, nigga, where's my pork chop? In other words, that's why the when it comes down to it, the ultimate rule is the law. And people do the things, the other nations do things that can be found even in our law, but the Most High don't recognize them because they're doing it to idols. You understand? Did you get any of the hieroglyphics on yet or not?
Yeah, but I can't share.
Oh, you guys got to remember, Dawiyat, to enable the sharing. We keep forgetting about that. So you can't put that in the chat room, huh?
It's an image. I guess I could.
Oh, forget it. Don't stress yourself. Don't stress yourself over it. Okay, so let me say this. For the most part, are we clear on that? That a thumbs up, sister?
Come.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Nagaha, for your input too. Okay, so then next week, whether Ibad Karatazar shows up or not, we're going to go over his questions so that at least it will be in the live stream. And I think these live streams are all stored, right? So that's what we're going to open up with next week. And then if there are not any more questions, then we're going to begin my apocalyptic blitz expose, starting with Daniel chapter 2. My water, what's happening, bro?
I was just gonna tell you, I got some questions lined up too. But
you have some questions? Say that again.
I got some questions lined up.
Okay, give me one of them so I can have something for you.
All right, God. Let me go through my icon.
Well, write me with him, brother. Let me know. I thought you had them right there with you. Nah. Let me go into my smartphone and see if I can find the right application that has the right section that has the right.
It came to me when last week when you had the Sabbath.
Listen, come closer to the mic because from where you are, it's going in and out.
You hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, this question stimulated off of what you was talking about from the last Sabbath class. But my question was, the first question was, to what extent are we as the Most High's chosen people are subject to our punishments of this current captivity and empire? And like the example that you had went into was about Joseph being in servitude in the Egyptian empire, in that he basically was wearing Egyptian attire. And then another.
Step in front of the camera. Whose clothes are you wearing? What's wrong with you? You wearing spiritual Egyptian attire, and so am I.
Sackcloth.
Go ahead, brother. Continue.
And another example was when you was talking about how we had to pay taxes, to the current ruler.
Yes.
Back then. So my basically the question I was trying to ask, like, to what extent, like, as being servants, are we, servants to this current captivity?
Hey, listen, in every sense of the word, up into the line where you're being compelled to do evil. That's why the Most High put us here, because we were ungovernable. He gave us an opportunity, multiple opportunities to govern ourselves, and we wouldn't. So we're being governed by others, and we are supposed to follow the laws of the legislature. So we'll go. That's a good question, and we'll go over those, okay? But the issue is just to at least establish the palate that we will be eating from is everything up until the point of evil, because that's why it tells you. It says real quick. We ain't gonna dive into it now, because I gotta be ready for the marathon tomorrow. Me at this go to Romans chapter 13. And read starting off at verse 1, I'm yet to just because that's a good question, but it's covered many times over in the Bible. So let's go ahead and read Romans chapter 13.
Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High.
That's why the scriptures say in the book of Daniel that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men and set up and giveth it to whomsoever he will and set up the basis of men over it. So when you read down, this is what we're going to go into. I just want to answer the question right off the bat for the sake of the stream and the video. But all the way up until, for instance, brothers being in jail, people are all mad because brothers was getting in prison for selling marijuana and for being found with ounces of marijuana, and now they didn't legalize it. But nigga, you shouldn't have been doing it anyway. It was legal. It was illegal back then. See what I'm saying? I know but why was that law set up? Why was Esau a hypocrite? Don't follow his own laws? Because that's designed to keep us from going too far. That's what the scripture says. Terror for rulers are not a terror to the good works. If you're doing absolutely right, you ain't got nothing to be afraid of. But we're always trying to sneak through and get shit done and you know, be like Esau. And so we get chastised. That's because, see, the Most High is punishing us, but not them, because we're the sinners. They're not. Because they have a predetermined time that the Most High has them on their leash. Then after a certain period of time that we don't know, bam, that leash is going to tighten. Their play they would have ran all out of their play, and the Most High is going to chastise them, never for them to rise again. Just like the Babylonians, the Ethiopians are third world condition today. Just like the Egyptians are third world today. Just like the Persians are fighting. The real Persians over in India, third world today. Not the Aryans of Iran. That's where the term Iran comes from. They're the first Aryans. People don't know that. Those ain't the Persians of old, huh? So we'll go deeper into that on Friday, okay? But like I said, what we're going to do, if Karataza is here, then we'll deal with the whole Mamzer issue. If not, we'll deal with yours first, and then his will come second. All right? Yeah. Okay, brother. Great question, and thank you. So I'm gonna hit you up right after we're done real quick. I need to holler at you, okay?
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, I love all of y'all. Hey, brother Hector, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Papa.
Come over here so I can see you, man. Brother over here looking like Roberto Duran back in Los Años 70, boy. How you feeling? Like you good?
I'm doing good.
You looking strong. Stay where you at. Don't go nowhere. Don't let nobody pull you away, brother. The Most High's got you and yours protected. All right?
Thank you.
All right. It's good to see you, man.
Good to hear from you too.
Yeah. All right, brother Troy, what's happening?
I was kind of pissed off about that whole birthday thing, about putting my family through it. Because I first learned of it from, some within our own group. I didn't get this from any other source. I didn't come to any consensus. I was just trying to do the right thing. But, well, I've never been one to celebrate my own, but for my wife and child to deprive them of that, and then basically I was wrong to approach it based off the information I had. I'm kind of pissed off that I put them through that.
Well, let me say this out. You didn't put them through nothing because all it taught them was that life ain't about them. And that's a good lesson. No matter how we end up getting it. But what we're dealing with concerning the birthday was, is it wrong or right? And concerning this, and that's why I put it out there in Streamland. If this thing is still running, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but show me the scripture. And like the brother Amayatia brought out a good point about how the king of Egypt celebrated his birthday and all that. And then the Most High said, learn not to wear the heathen. But at the same time, when you read the new scriptures, it tells you what fellowship have the heathen or the darkness with the light? We don't adhere to them. We don't do things because they do it. We don't go through things because they don't do it. We do and not do. We do, or let's say we perform and we do not perform based on what the Most High teaches us according to his laws. You understand, brother? So don't be mad. You just gotta count it all. You just gotta count it all lessons, because that's what it is. You know, it's really all about just the journey that we're on that results in our development.
Mm. And also, Troy, I can understand that you're pissed off, but don't be pissed off, because also it shows now that you're able to abstain from certain things.
Yeah,
you know, it's actually
all your loved ones.
Yeah, exactly. So it shows you now. If the Most High say I don't do this, you'll lock in and not do it. You know, but also be grateful that at least now you can celebrate your child's birthday moving forward. You know, and so don't be pissed off.
The what?
So, all right, brothers and sisters, me and Yetza got a little rapping to do, and we'll see y'all next Friday, okay?
Shalom,
Shalom, brothers.
Shalom.
Hey, listen, y'all be careful and keep your eyes open for all that crazy election voting madness. Stay away from all of that, all right? All right, shalom.
Shalom.
It's your how do I turn off the light?
We were already rapping about that class got started.
Yes, how do I turn off the light?
You would go 5 times. Pretty much, yeah. Because look, you see this crazy ass Democrats got in store for us.
So
Biden already said if he becomes president, he's going to force people to take the vaccine.